broadcast on this Saturday afternoon at UK Games Expo 2022 with my co-host, Peter Ellison.
How you doing, everyone? Good to be here.
Right, Pete. So, this is my first convention in 4 years.
Okay, that's a long time.
That is a long time, and I have thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
Especially in this convention, which I love, because it's everything that I love about a convention. Board games, RPGs, all the pretty things.
And this isn't just traders. This is created. People that make it rather than just sell it.
Yeah, lots of playtesters.
Lots of playtesters,
yeah.
Lots of announcements, lots of really cool games debut for the first time.
So what's it been like? Because obviously you were here last year.
I was here last year, 2021. Now this was a much quieter event. The lanes were wider, numbers were restricted. It was a lot of COVID restrictions due, of course, to the pandemic. Now this is literally, it was a different feel. People were keeping apart. I mean, before you could like bump the elbows as you used to do. Now it's people are hugging. We're kind of much more back to normal because things are getting back to normal now. So yeah, it's great. It's just fantastic at things here.
So what you're being, this is going to be, by the way, this isn't going to be a full-length podcast because the camera only has a 30-minute play time, hence why you might see me check, well, whoever's watching this will see me check my phone. If you're listening to it, you won't know any difference, but I'm just checking the time on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to mention sort of stuff we've seen, what we've been doing, some of the people who we've interviewed, and then what we're probably going to do is release all the different interviews individually, but for all of those who listen to the podcast and watch it, we will also add the some of the interviews into the podcast as well for your viewing.
You're going to get the pre-release.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Hi, Jay. Yeah, okay, so highlight of the show.
Okay, I'm a roleplay guy. For me it's all about the roleplay
Something
games.
that just happened recently, today, maybe?
Yeah, I got to meet Matthias Hacke of the Free League Publishing, and they got to sign my copy of Simbaroom.
So you got a lot of people signing it, so you got the artist signing it?
The artist and the actual creator of Simbaroom. So that's going back on my shelf. Hopefully it will still hold all the weight.
You're going to have a special shelf for it, man.
I am, yeah, it's going to properly like the display case.
For anybody who watches us on our streams, you'll notice Pete in the background always has this very sort of kind of bowed sort of shelf full of his RPG books. He's an RPG whore. There's just like all over the place. I mean, you can see literally this bow with the nice heavy books.
Well, they're just so pretty. I mean, Free League do fantastic roleplay games, but also the artwork in them is just really fantastic. One feature because it's just beautiful to look at. Yeah. It's a pleasure to read, and it's always kind of aesthetically appropriate. Like for what's in the One Ring role-playing game, it kind of like feels kind of very oldie compared to the more grimier, grittier Simbaroom.
Yeah, I saw the nice deluxe edition of it. It looks so beautiful.
Exactly, it's that attention to detail.
Thing is, like, I like RPGs. I've got a lot of them, but because our D&D takes so much out of my life, the idea of buying more, especially Lord of the Rings, and I love Lord of the Rings, it just feels like I'm never going to play this. I'm not going to do this and stuff. So it's just like, as much as it's like, this is pretty, I kind of want this, but then I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but role-playing games are my thing. I mean, out of all different games there are, like board games, war games, and role-playing games, I think role-playing games is kind of my top three.
Your thing.
Yeah, that's my thing.
That's your thing.
That's my thing.
War games are my thing. RPGs are your thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like kind of like the dungeon crawler-based board games, because it's very character specific. You are playing a character within a game, board game. So that's the way I approach it.
I'm kind of seeing how many people, because every time you do stuff like this, and we've been doing interviews, and to be honest, until the last interview, nobody seemed to be walking in front of the camera, but you always get these people who are doing a beeline straight towards you, and then they sort of see the camera, and then there's that decision of like, do I go through the shots, or do I carry on?
I'm kind of master the artist glaring at people. And they go, slight smile,
it's like
frown. They're kind of like, it's like escalation.
It's mainly kids, and they just sort of kind of go through. You know, it seems to be worse. Like last time you were at a convention, we had microphones with leads, and
Yeah.
for some reason it encouraged people more to go over the leads. For some reason, it was just like
Through the trip
filming.
hazards.
We're
Through the trip
filming.
hazards. Yeah.
And it's just like you just gain up, yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah, for me, do you know what? I don't think I've had. Everything's in its own way has been really good. Just because it's been my first sort of convention in a while. I've met a load of people who I've not seen in ages.
Yeah.
Some good friends. People who we've talked to before.
Yeah.
It was great talking to the guy from Rob from Dice Sports. We've done an interview like
4 years ago as well.
yeah, 4 years ago. It was good talking to Steve Box from Vanguard Tactics.
Oh, Jared as well.
There we go. Somebody just about to go through the shot.
Yeah, but the Jared from Nightfall.
Jared from Nightfall, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him last year and we had him on the podcast, and they've just released the Terminator roleplay game. So I immediately went home and bought it on Drive-Thru RPG because I have that amount of willpower.
Yeah. But so, yeah, it's just been a lot for me, just in general, and because it's, I like MCM and things like that, I like more for the people and stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of the people watching that you get from, seeing cosplayers and things like that. But this is literally just everything that I love. It's got a bit of cosplay, as you can probably see from behind us and stuff, but you also have sort of like people developing games, loads of different types of games, from RPGs to sort of kind of European style games to like war games and stuff. That war game, War and Terror, that we talked to the guy who's ex-army. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So
Also, one thing, you can go to an MCM or Showmasters, and you could literally miss a few years, and nothing will have really changed.
Yeah.
The people will be a bit different, but
definitely lots of stands with pop figures on them.
Exactly.
Lots of sword
lots
stands.
of traders.
Yeah.
But here, there's something new happening. People, the manufacturers, developers, and creators come here and announce like, this is what we are developing. And I think that's what makes it such a fresh and vibrant.
Yeah, it's just like I find that I've met a lot of cool people in all conventions I've been to.
Yeah.
But it's just this one. It seems because it's busy, but it's not stupid busy and stuff.
Yeah.
It is as busy as conventions. Yeah, it's a big convention, but So I got to talk to Martin from Geek and Son. I've not talked to him in fucking like 4 years and stuff. Got one of their beautiful tables and not sort of like, so it was good talking to him for a while, just meeting Karen. I've not seen him in ages and stuff.
Got to speak to Modifius.
Yeah.
That's the co-founder of Modifius, Chris Birch, a lovely guy, talking about Rule vs. Evil, that fantastic charity they're doing.
Yeah.
They're supporting, actually, rather than vaguely supporting Ukraine, they are doing direct aid, going straight to the people that need it in Ukraine. And I think that is really good, and we really need support there.
That is pretty good. It just, in general, it hasn't felt tiresome. As much as I was tired yesterday, it didn't feel like I was bored, because I get to a point when I go to certain conventions where, like you said, everything's the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a bit bored now of what's going on. I've seen it, it's good to see, I've met some people, let's just go back. Whereas this, because there's a lot of different games, there's a lot of different systems, there's a lot of different types of things going on, you can keep yourself quite busy.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could spend just one day, well, we did spend one day just in the halls, and that's completely missing everything else that is going on around, like in the Hilton. And you got like the dark rooms, Spaceship Bridge Simulator.
We saw him running around here.
Exactly, we saw John Robertson wandering around.
Yeah, he was on the pod. If you haven't watched his podcast, it's the only podcast that we've had that's ended not because of time limitations, but because he needed to take a shit.
That is a first on podcasts. We go where no one else has gone before.
Literally, a podcast was generally about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at a push. This one was like 2.5 hours, and the only reason to stop is because he needed to take a crap.
The guy is a human dynamo.
Yeah,
he just cannot stop talking, and he is a fantastic comedian. If you get the chance to go to the dark room, do so. You will have a laugh and be absolutely terrified at the same time, because you do not want to be picked.
Yeah. So, okay, out of all the games that we have seen, so we'll list all the things, and like I said, I'll either add some of these at the end of the podcast, just so you can have a listen to them, and obviously they will individually be released too. But out of all the games, so we've had Sniper Elite. We've had
Yeah, I do like that game.
yeah, Sniper Elite. We've had War and Terror, which is that other tabletop
in
game.
development, that looks
We've
interesting.
had some scoops from the guys at Nightfall
yeah.
about Terminator 2.
An expansion for the Terminator Republic.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've already got it, so.
We have had Modiphius. Did they have anything new? Acton, no, not Acton Cthulhu. They have another one which is the Roman version of it.
Yes, Roman version of Acton Cthulhu. Basically, you are playing legionnaires going out into the wilderness where there's something strange going on that could be tentacles.
Yeah. What else have we seen? We have seen. We've seen obviously Bevan of Geek Pride fame and Tinkerbot Games. We saw his Haunticulture.
Yeah.
So it's so funny watching people. I'm sorry you keep on doing this, but you keep on seeing people and they do a beeline because they see a gap, and then they see the camera, and then you got that moment of like, do I go through the gap or not? And it's like there've been 3 people so far. We're like, so if you see me doing this, it's because we're trying to stop people from going through the bloody through the camera.
Rebellion Unplugged.
That was for Sniper Elite.
Yeah, but also they announced that they're doing Judge Dredd, the board game, coming back.
Yes.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, that was.
And
Ian Livingstone's. They're basically a remake of Ian Livingstone.
Of the original.
Yeah, the original.
But kind of with modern mechanics.
Yeah.
And also they got the Tartarus Gate role-playing game.
Yes.
But again, I picked up because I have no willpower.
I bought some dice today and some stuff.
£50 dice.
Yeah, well, they're cool dice.
They are cool. When you paid £50 for some dice, will you ever use them?
Maybe for our D&D. Maybe I'll start rolling actual dice when we do our D&D games on Thursdays. Thursday nights, by the way, streaming.
Yeah.
They were nice dice, and I got some bandanas for my dog and stuff.
Will your dog let you put the bandanas on him, though?
Yeah, he will. They'll not stay on for long, but you'll put them on and stuff. So, out of everything we've seen, what's been the is it literally just been the Free League Press thing, or Sniper Elite? You said. So, what was it about Sniper Elite that you thought you liked?
Okay, well, like I mentioned, I like the Dungeon Crawler style games where you play that character on a board, and that kind of takes the kind of Dungeon Crawler style, but brings in hidden movement where you are playing a sniper trying to evade the guards, and that sounds very interesting. It's very stealthy based, so what they're doing is quite different to typical.
I got the Kickstarter, so I've got them all in the house. I think I posted a picture on Geek Pride at one point, but I've got them in the house, so I've not played it yet. But what got me was that sort of kind of stealth thing. So you've literally got a sniper who's not going to be on the board very often. He's got a sorry, just another person sort of walking out, realizing there's a camera going on.
And we are recording.
Yeah, we're recording. So you've got a sniper, and from what they explained, like he's not on the board very often. Yeah. He's got his own little secret board where he basically you draw
where's he going.
You draw on it where you're going, and they know. And then it's basically if he makes noise and stuff, that's when they sort of kind of go towards where he is.
Yeah, I think the guy explained it best when he said, if this figure's on the board, you're playing it wrong.
Yeah.
Which is that makes sense because you are a sneaky sniper.
Yeah. So that's something I definitely want to try out. The War and Terror game, which isn't out yet. What was the other one? Shadows of the Earth.
That looks very interesting.
Shadows of the Sun. Shadows of the Sun. That was it. Yeah.
That was sort of like exploration, exploitation.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a more streamlined Twilight Imperium. Yeah. That looks pretty good, and that's coming out March of 2023.
Yep.
March 2023. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, the
on Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter.
With 8-9 months production time.
Yeah. Then so obviously the War and Terror, Terra. No, so it's basically the War and Terror, but it's War and Terra. Terra, as in the Earth, Terra.
Yeah. And not to be confused with War and Terror for Games Workshop.
Yeah. So it's basically a miniatures game, but it's scalable. So he's basically ex-Marines, he's ex-Army, so he's trying to, and it seems like he's really put a lot of thought into how it's played. Now, there will be the interview later on that you can sort of listen to from that. But it sounds like a really good system, and I like the fact that they've thought about a lot of the things that are quite sort of. One thing I quite liked about it is it's one person goes, then another person goes, but it's by phase. So I move, then you counter move, and there's like an initiative step, and then sometimes you don't want to go first, because if you go first,
you're showing your hand first.
You're showing your hand first and stuff, and it changes each turn.
Oh, nice.
And that sounds really good, and I think that's a really good idea. So it's basically I move, and you go, right, he's moved there, I need to move there. Yeah. So you, as a first person, will need to, if you're going first, you need to sort of trap people. So you go, okay, yeah, we'll move there, but the intention is to do this, and it's like...
I like the idea whether you can concentrate your squad's fire on a specific target.
Yeah, and you can split them up, so they've all got keywords, but you don't have to have them in the same formation. They can split up, but that affects bonuses and things like that. So yeah, it sounds interesting, because obviously he was saying from his experience in the army and stuff, you know, that's what you would do and blah blah blah, and it's like that's a good way to come with things. Is somebody has experience in warfare making a war game, so
to replicate that experience.
Yeah. So that sounds good. Are we gonna get people walking through the no, they're looking. No. This is where they go. Anyway, listen, I don't think they're going to walk through shop.
Okay.
We should have like a tally every time somebody walks through shop. Bing, bing, bing. So there's been a lot. Another one, Rob from Dice Sports. So he did Airflix. So we did
Starflix.
Starflix.
Yes.
So it's basically Airflix, which is World War II. Starflix is space. So it's basically the same sort of principle with fighters and stuff like that, but with spaceships. And he says for Airflix and for Starflix, they're going to have capital ships. We nearly got a ding. We nearly got something through the camera. But we're getting so basically you have a capital ship. So they have hexes on their boards for the movement, which you don't use in air. You basically flick them and they go wherever. But in this one's the big capital ships or the Lancaster bombers that they're going to have in World War II, they move by hex. And it's literally about escorting these like frigates and these big bombers and stuff to their sort of like targets.
Nice.
And I think it's a really good idea.
I think that was one thing that was missing from Airflix. It was very just purely skirmish based. You had very few kind of escort missions or defense missions. Having a capital ship that goes from A to B and is vulnerable, then it changed up the tactics, because you're no longer about keeping your fighters alive. You're keeping that target alive, so you'll be more willing to sacrifice a fighter if it means taking out someone that could do a kill shot.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be very interesting, and we'll shake it up.
Yeah. It's been good. I've enjoyed myself, and I'm glad I've come.
And it's been great. I mean, it's the first time we've seen each other in 3 years.
Yeah, true. Actually,
in person.
In actual person. Yeah, that's true. It's true. You don't realise that you haven't seen people. The thing is, I'm not seeing, like, I've not met John Joe in person. I've not met Josh in person. I've not met, who else comes on the podcast sometimes I've not met in person? I've met Orvis. I've met Bevan.
Yeah,
just met him. I made him here every year now these days. But there's a lot of people who, from the website that we don't sort of meet.
Yeah.
And Mark, I've not met Mark. Mark's tried numerous times, because he used to come up north by a lot. He's like, do you fancy saying that? I was like, oh man, I'm busy, I can't do stuff. So I've not met him. Not through his not trying, but
Well, I've met Dave.
All right.
Yeah, he was travelling up north, so he said, he's going to stop. He was going to stop over midway, and we realised, well, Pete lives midway, so.
So you met Dave?
We met Dave there.
Right, no way. Okay.
So hung out, had a meal, chatted.
There you go. Yeah. Did you hit him with your axe?
Not yet. Next time.
D&D reference there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not watching our D&D stream on Thursdays or watching it back on YouTube, then you're not cool enough.
No, I mean, you'll see that way. Jack needed a total party kill.
Yeah.
Wiped out the mage, hit the warforge, and just about take out the archer.
Yeah, the elf archer.
And they got me.
Yeah, then they finally got you. I was wondering, because we were down doing an interview with Steve Fox from Vanguard Tactics and stuff, which is a really good interview, by the way. He does sort of He does sort of like coaching on 40k, on being better at the game, but in a very sort of methodical, thought-out way. Lovely chap. And there was this massive scream, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then we were outside, and there's a bunch of guys reenacting as Vikings and Romans and stuff, so they were obviously sort of kind of like facing off and stuff. And I was like, so it makes a lot more sense.
And I've been like, it's not just games, you've got cosplayers, reenactors. I mean, they've got a massive Viking camp just outside.
Oh, right, that's it. See, because they did that last time. They actually had a Viking camp.
Yeah, Viking camp.
They're not allowed to bring their. We'll talk about the orcs, right? So here's something else, right? It reminds me, right? So we've got some orcs.
Urukai, please.
Urukai, yeah, we've got some Urukais over there and stuff. They're a part of
Galactic Knights.
The Galactic Knights, yeah.
Cosplay group, do a lot of charity work, fantastic people.
This is complete. You can maybe have an opinion on this yourselves. We have our own opinion, but we were sitting at the camera sorting stuff out. These guys from Galactic Knights came in, their costumes, and we're just going like this. They've come over to talk to Pete because they know Pete.
Yeah, sci-fi weekend.
This guy comes over and he says, excuse me, you know you've upset a child over there, and we're laughing it off like he's taking the piss.
Yeah.
Like he's like, well, you know.
And to be fair, so was the orcs. They thought, oh, great, excellent.
Yeah. And then he started getting like really serious, seriously, you've upset this child, I want you to apologise. And he's just like, what?
Yeah, apparently this was inappropriate.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, because you know, you've just gone and screamed, and this has upset this child. We've got a mother and daughter over there really upset, and you need to apologise. And the guy was like, I don't think she wants an orc that's upset her walking up to her and apologising and stuff.
An already upset child. Now, I mean, the best thing you can do is essentially take the child away from what the cause of the upset. I mean, I have 3 children. I've taken them along to events, and every now and then they have been upset at the sight of a child. Yeah, and what you do is you just manage that, and you kind of explain it to them.
Yeah.
And best calm them down, then take them over to the event, to the stall afterwards, and so these are the people that pretend to be orcs or stormtroopers.
Yeah, but it was being such a job's worth. He was being such a job's worth, and it was just like. He came over and he was really going for it to the point where he wasn't having a go. But I was like, look, mate, you know, kids get upset and things and stuff like that. And he says, oh, are you the manager? I was like, no, I'm not the manager.
Yeah, we asked him the manager.
And he wanted the guy's name. He was being such
girl's name, Joanne.
Oh, Joanne, sorry, being the girl's name. He was just being just an absolute douchebag.
Yeah.
And I was just like, look, mate, when I was a kid. The neighbour had a wolf mask on, and literally every time that guy came out of this house with that wolf mask, me and my brother would cry and stuff like that. Yeah. Kids cry when they see
it. It is,
like that.
Because it's the way they process the information, and it is, unnerving for them. But to be fair, when you go to somewhere like this, you should expect that, and also explain to the child that what you will see here, is fantasy. It's make believe. It's play.
It's not like I'm pretty sure he didn't even go. He was like he walked into. From what I saw, he walked into the convention centre, roared. The kid got upset, and then this Jobsworth came over and started being a knobhead, and I was just like, come on, man, what the hell? What's that all about? People like that really are just. It's like I don't think he had anything to do with the woman and her child.
I don't know.
I don't think it was the father. I don't think it was. She walked off and he was just sort of kind of.
I didn't even see the child to be fair.
I saw her. Obviously the mother seemed, it could be like she was upset because her child was upset. But the thing is, when you're coming, you've got to understand. And I don't have kids, but I know kids have kids, and they get scared of silly things and stuff. And it's not because it shouldn't be the other person's fault. I used to be scared of clowns and stuff like that.
I'm still scared of clowns.
Yeah, everybody who's going to ask, every person who's dressed as a clown to apologise because I got upset and stuff. It's just.
Well, I mean, I took when my eldest was quite young and we didn't have the other 2 kids, we went to the Movie Mania weekend at the National Space Centre, and first time she went there. So at the time of life, she kept trying to grab the xenomorph's tail and bite it. And then a year later went again, and she was scared of stormtroopers.
Right.
Because there was no face, they had the vox, and you just kind of know it's just pretend. So there's. we at time? No.
And we're just saying how much time we've got. We've got 5 minutes left.
Okay, but yeah, like I was saying, like it's children, they will get scared of these things, and it's our responsibility as parents to know how best to manage and create that experience for them, to kind of introduce them to it and say, no, this, explain it all to them.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think.
Yeah. I just the moral to the story is don't be a bloody Jobsworth. Don't be a hero, because it's like, you know, if it was something, if it was an intentional sort of kind of something, then I could understand. But it was fun. It was just somebody in a cosplay.
Having fun.
Yeah, just.
And I do not get the impression it was inappropriate in any way. I think they were just having fun.
Yeah.
And when's that been a crime?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Don't be a Jobsworth. Yeah. Anyway, so we've only got 5 minutes left on this camera for recording time, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is we're going to say goodbye, and then I'm going to tag on some of our interviews at the end of this. Not for the video one. The video one, you have to watch them individually. But if you're going to listen to the podcast, you get to listen to all of them back to back. I might do an introduction to each one and stuff. But yeah, so we have all of them on there for you to listen to. Podcast is not doing too badly at the minute, so if you're watching this, please do subscribe.
Like subscribe, share, please tell your friends. The more people that get listen, and tell us what you want us to talk about.
We've got a lot of guests we can probably get on. We're sort of we're aiming slightly bigger now. I try to get a few more people on. So yeah, make sure we're on all.
Going to get Jonathan Green on from Fighting Fantasy.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people potentially to come on. So please check it out. So for me, Matt Geary, and for Peter Ray Allison at UK Games Expo 2022. See you later, and thanks a lot.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Hi everyone, this is Peter Ray Allison for Geek Pride, coming to you live from the UK Games Expo 2022. And joining me today is Chris Birch of Modifius. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Feet are a bit sore, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, this is like busy. I mean, I was here last year, it was COVID restrictions, very quiet, but this feels back to normal.
Everyone's back in force, the Queen's giving them a holiday.
Exactly, yeah, it's good. It's good to see everyone back here.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, you do a lot of games, and I mean a lot of games, but one thing you've been working on is Role versus Evil.
Yes.
So what is that?
So, obviously my wife is from Belarus, and they've been suffering a lot under this kind of brutal regime. With Lukashenko, the president, has been in power for too long. And we wanted to do something, you know, what's often frustrating is you just want to be able to do something, but now. I don't want to just give some money that might get used for some good in some unspecified amount of time. I want to fight evil right now. And so the pitch really is, if you're going to fight evil on the tabletop playing D&D or whatever your game is, why not do it in the real world as well? And often we don't have a vehicle to do that. So Role versus Evil is a vehicle so you can actually fight evil. So what we do is we're going out and finding the evil guys that we can fight. And at the moment, that's Ukraine. So Ukraine suffered this illegal invasion. We've gone out and found frontline groups that we can send money to this week. Not in 3 months, but today, tomorrow, next week. And we're finding people so we're getting, you know, trauma bandages for terrible gunshot wounds to the frontline guys in the army, just innocents who get caught up in the shooting. We're getting fracture splints for broken bones, broken arms, legs, which there's a lot of on the front lines. We're helping evacuate old age pensioners, senior citizens, and disabled people who usually get forgotten in all the evacuations. So people, the really vulnerable people. And our next step, and we're kind of doing little phases of fundraising. The next step is to help fight the kidnapping on the borders, so women and children getting kidnapped by people at the borders. Hey, I'll give you a lift to Warsaw to this hostel. Never get there. And it's happening quite a lot. So and we can point to, we know there's this group who've been kidnapped. We're going after them. We're going to try and rescue them. So we're doing a lot of work like that so we can show the results. And it's really easy to get involved. It's a bit like when you were kids and you were doing a sponsored run, you go around your friends, hey, will you sponsor me a quid to do a run? In this, it's get sponsored by your friends to play a game. And then during the game, you can re-roll the dice. It costs a quid.
Nice.
Or you could draw another card. That's 2 quid. You know, whatever you want, any kind of silly excuse. Do you want to have another saving throw? Sure, it's £1.
Yeah.
So it's just do a fun game and see how much money you can raise, like any charity event. Donate it into the rollversusevil.com. We've got a Just Giving page. You can see everything that's going on. We're posting updates about where the money's going and how it's getting used. And we're going to have regular kind of fundraising programs. We're doing streaming events where people can call in, hey, I'm going to put in a £10. I want Dave to have another go at that role.
And
So,
rather than just, vague support, this is direct aid going to
you
people.
can actually do something. We can actually do something where, we can show, we just got out 32 people on the Ukraine football team's coach that we managed to hire from Kharkiv, and it's all disabled and old age pensioners. So, we can actually show stuff that was done on the front lines. We're getting food supplies. We just, got a load of, sleeping bags for the refugees in Lviv. So sometimes we're able to get stuff for free. Sometimes we're paying for stuff. We're also coordinating, finding companies who've got supplies. They just don't know how to get it. And we've got the government contacts in Lviv. We can get supplies in, get it to the right people.
So you're almost like bypassing the middleman and just sending the aid.
Well, the big charities. Obviously they're trying to cope with all the millions of refugees, and that's also a big need. But there's still people on the front lines who desperately need bandages.
Yeah.
Desperately need antiseptics. So we're finding the people who are being missed by the big charities.
Yeah.
Really.
The charities look at the numbers. You look at the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you hear at the UK Games Expo,
Yeah.
with a lot of games. And I mean,
Yes.
June is the big one. I think.
Yeah.
June one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Now, the June role-playing game is fantastic, and what I really liked about it is like it stays very true to the theme of the books. I mean, when you're creating the June game, how did you approach what was canon and what wasn't? And because you've got 2 films now, you've got the book and.
Well, we get to work with the estate. We make sure everyone on the team is mad for it for June. But it's still tricky, like what you think might be canon might actually not be true.
Okay.
Because, obviously you've got, the estate, Brian, and, what's come before.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people remember things, go, no, that's in the movie. That's in the old movie, and that's not canon, So, there's a lot of, I'd call it institutional knowledge that everyone thinks they've got around June, and you have to go, this is actually what's the canon. And we're also walking kind of adjacent to the new movies.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that the armour, the Atreides armour, looks like the armour in the movie. You'll notice the ornithopters look the same. So we're very close to the movie, but obviously the Atreides family look different because we're not using the talent likenesses.
Yeah.
We're not using a lot of the actors. But we want people to be able to create their own June universe, but in a familiar environment. And we're working alongside June and the legendary films to as the films come out, you'll see more and more content too.
Yeah, because there's the core rule book out, and I think you just released the campaign set, haven't you?
Yeah, which has got Agents of June here, the nice box set, which is basically a standalone product. You don't need the core book.
Oh.
So if you're like, just want a whole load of handouts, I mean, it's great as an accessory for a June GM. But if you want a whole campaign to dive in and you don't really want to get just the core book yet and then have to buy other stuff, you can get this. It comes with a PDF of the core book, but it's also got everything you need in the box to play, just to get playing, loads of cool handouts, loads of information. So it's a really handy tool.
Yeah, because the handout is what the key. It gives the players a tactile thing to interact with.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, and also we've also got Fallout as well.
Yes. My friend here.
Your friend. Yeah, so again, how did Fallout come about?
Well, I've been doing a lot of licensed games, and before that I was doing licensed clothing. I was doing a lot of video game t-shirts. So I was working with a lot of big video games companies. And when I launched Modiphius, I think it was after a couple of years, I was like, gosh, you know what, I know the people at Bethesda, I want to go and pitch them to do a game. And it took several years, finally got a phone call with the right person, and they were too busy, and what are tabletop games? They didn't really care. The industry wasn't doing much license-wise at the time, and they didn't have the time. Their games make tens, hundreds of millions. You know, we're a small fry. So eventually I got the right pitch. I said, yeah, what if we did Warhammer Fallout? And they were like, okay, I understand what you mean, because not everyone's a gamer, but if you say Warhammer and Fallout, you kind of get, okay, it's going to be miniatures, it's going to be rules. So, and then cut a long story short, 3 or 4 years later, we had a contract, we were getting on with it, and then we added Skyrim, Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I mean, also, you got I've seen the Skyrim game of that, and that looks fantastic.
Yeah, with this beautiful big Bleak Falls Barrow.
I know.
Scenic set. Yeah.
How long did that take to build?
Well, we commissioned a fantastic artist in the UK to build this for us. For those of you off camera, you probably can't see this, but it's oh, you go, you're seeing a turn. It's amazing, and it's if you've got to fight your way to the top through the Draugr. So so we've had great fun with all the scenery. We've got like resin, word walls and dungeon walls, Draugr dungeon walls. We've got Fallout vault walls. We've really gone heavily into 3D print support as well. So we're getting a lot of scenery it's stuff that would be crazy to sell in resin because it'd be so expensive. We're doing it in 3D print, so people can print it at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, Skyrim has got a lot of fan support behind it. Yeah, I mean, so how do you kind of recreate the kind of feel of Skyrim as a tabletop game?
I mean, the whole point is not to actually recreate the game because you might as well just play the game.
Yeah.
So like with Fallout, it was more about, well, it's usually, you're running around the wasteland, but what if you had some friends with you? What if when Preston Garvey says another settlement needs your help, you can go, right, well, you're coming with me too. So it's, it's all about having fun battles with, 3, 5, 10, 15 characters on your side, so you can play that much bigger game. Same thing with Elder Scrolls. It might be you and a companion, but what if there was like 15 of you? What if you had a whole unit of Imperial soldiers, or you were like all the Stormcloaks, or you were a bunch of the Brotherhood, the Dark Brotherhood going on some assassination mission.
Yeah.
So it's, and also I'm a big believer in solo and co-op gaming. I think so many people don't have the time to get together with their friends.
Yeah.
Or even if they do, they don't want to be playing against them. And there's so much more fun you can have actually playing a co-op war game. My goal is to make the war games that are the most fun to lose.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Way more fun to lose.
Absolutely.
Because you're telling a story. And so I think Fallout and Elder Scrolls really do tell a story. You've got so much, there's a lot of narrative going on. We've got, dungeon delving where you could just be one character, you could be 5 characters, one each, or, a whole crew. And, there's a lot of kind of settlement building and all sorts of interesting campaigns.
Yeah, because I mean, both Skyrim and Fallout are very character-driven. And the setting there as background, but the narrative is purely character, isn't it?
Yeah. There's so much characterization, but also you've got to be careful that you don't go too detailed because the temptation is to do everything the video game does. But then why not just sit back and play PlayStation, or PC? So I mean, again, it's all about how do we get that Fallout or Elder Scrolls experience without the complex rules? And there's always a battle between the right rules to tell the story and not too many rules so it puts people off playing.
Yeah, and obviously the mechanics that work in a video game don't necessarily work in a tabletop.
And the video game has got a powerful PC, which, running all the calculations for you. So you need to strip it down a lot. So.
Okay, so obviously it's 2022. Where do you go from here? You got Skyrim, Fallout, Dune.
Yeah.
Acton Cthulhu, which I've not even mentioned yet.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here?
Well, obviously there's the Skyrim adventure game coming, the big board game. You travel across Skyrim on loads of quests that kind of rewrite themselves as you play again and again. It's like you'll see a different story every time you play. We've got the Spectre board game that's going on pre-order next week on the 14th. Week after next. So that's a big board game where you play all the bad guys. Trying to fulfill your secret plot, but of course Bond keeps turning up, and you have to then tell him everything. Of course. So it's that's going to be hilarious. So and then we've got Cohorts Cthulhu is our big new project we're launching. Same universe as Acton Cthulhu, but now you're adventurers in the Roman Empire, about 160 AD, second century. Already, the big plague is about the Antonine Plague is about to sweep across the Empire. Wonder who's behind that.
Ooh.
And there's a big secret plot unfolding. It's a big prequel to Acting Cthulhu. There's all sorts of ancient Atlantean technology you can get hold of. You get to be brave Roman legionnaires. You might be wily Germanic hunters. So it's very much historical fantasy. It could be D&D Keep on the Borderlands.
Yeah.
Where you go out into the wilderness, into the forest. Just happens that the soldiers are wearing Roman armour. But
Nice.
pretty much, and there's no elves, but there's forest peoples,
Yeah.
Germanic peoples who know the woods, who are great archers. There's no dwarves, but there's a big burly blacksmith, from the north who's got some cool secret, equipment for you. So
That sounds fantastic. And also, my credit card's going to hate me. So, yep, this has been Peter Rielson for Geek Pride at UK Games Expo 2022, signing off with Chris Birch.
thanks a lot.
Bye.
Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UK Games Expo 2022. My good friend Stephen Box, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, mate. Great to see you again.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time.
Been a very long time.
Been a very long time. So, Vanguard Tactics, going from strength to strength. I remember you when you were a little channel.
I was a
Not-
tiny channel.
yeah, a tiny channel, yeah.
I suppose I still feel like myself like that now, really. But
Oh man, you did so well, so well.
thank you. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. What are Vanguard Tactics? What do you do? And what's helped with the meteoric rise?
Okay, so yeah, Vanguard Tactics, we specialise in really helping encourage sportsmanship and fair play in Warhammer 40k, and also hopefully that then spreads into other tabletop games. My approach has always been about empowering people through education and just helping them feel a lot more confident when you get to the table. The game can be quite overwhelming and complex, but it's about simplifying that just so we can really enjoy the hobby. So Vanguard Tactics was, essentially driven and created to solve some of those problems, really. Yeah.
And so you were talking to the chap earlier, you've got like tiers depending on what needs people have.
Yep.
So can you explain those?
Yeah, so we have our Vanguard Tactics Academy, and the Academy very similar to, I suppose, like an online university course. It was very much like the inspiration for it would have been the course that I would have loved to study when I got back into the hobby.
Right.
I've always been someone that's wanted to, everything I've done, whether I've bought a camera, I've always wanted to invest in myself to know how to use it better, to really maximize that. So yeah, our Academy course takes you over a 16-week program where we look at every single phase of the game, from list writing to deployment to really maximizing your preparation before you go to a tournament. And that's what exactly the Academy does, is takes you through that step by step to help you feel a lot more confident at the table.
And you obviously go around and you did very well with your Blood Angels recently.
Yep, so went to the Bay Area Open in San Francisco last week, and yeah, did exceptionally well. I was really happy with my performance. I went after day 2, I was the only undefeated player with Blood Angels, so I was really happy with that. Obviously, nobody's expecting it.
Well, you think see, this is it, because obviously, what are your views with you've obviously done very well with a codex which is at the bottom end at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about codex creep? How do you think that's a thing, or is it just people aren't thinking right about the codex that they're
So I think anytime a new codex comes into like the environment, as it were, it's got a new predator in town, and it does take a little bit of time for people to adjust to maybe understand how to actually figure them out, how to beat them. But I think what I've seen in the past is so many people jump on the most efficient list, but what they're not doing is really understanding the game itself. Right. So they're missing so many fundamentals of the game, which gives players like myself, which really know their army inside out, opportunities to outplay their opponent. And yeah, certainly some books have come out which have been stronger than others. That's a fact. They've been obviously then Games Workshop are dedicated to constantly balancing the game, which is brilliant. But just jumping on the most recent hotness isn't actually going to help you as a player. All it's going to do is hurt your bank balance. So all I want to do is empower people to take their favourite army, which is why I never run a meta list. I'm always taking something very different. And I want to do the best job I can with it to empower people to go, I play Blood Angels. If Steve can do it, he's an idiot. I can do it too. So that's kind of the,
Well, see, I haven't played a tournament in a while. I love my Space Wolves and stuff, but I just don't feel they're being very effective. I appreciate there are some lists that are more competitive than others.
Sure.
how do you, somebody like me who's maybe been a bit, I've been playing since Rogue Trader, like I've been playing 40k since day one, day dot, but recently I've just become slightly disillusioned with it because I feel like I don't want to have to jump ship and buy a new army, and you know, I've got money, I can buy these things and stuff, but it's just like, I don't want to be those guys.
You don't feel like you have to.
Yeah, exactly. I want to use an army that I like using, and I want to be, do it in a way where I feel like I can enjoy it without spamming units and doing things like this. And
So, okay, so what you've said there is the biggest problem people have is they don't set realistic goals.
Yeah.
So what you've said there needs to underpin any other goal you then make.
Right.
So you might want to take, it could be, I want to take a Highlander army. I want to take one of every single thing, not lots of the same.
Right.
And I want to do as best as I can with my Space Wolf army, and the best I can we then need to quantify. So maybe it might be, okay, so my first tournament, I want to score 50 points in every game. Regardless of winning or losing or drawing, you just try and score maybe 50 points in each game. You complete that tournament, and hey, if you lose every game, it doesn't matter. You still hit your target. Next tournament you go to, how do I get 55 out of every game? How do I get that to 60? How do I get, what worked well, what didn't?
Incremental goals.
Exactly, yeah, because, you know, like obviously I used to be a fitness coach. If you went into the gym for the first time to do bench press, you wouldn't just go, oh, well, what does the latest guy take? He does 250 kilos. Oh, okay, I'll put that on and give it a go.
Okay.
You would start with the lightest weight possible. Okay, I did that, I'll do a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Warhammer's no different. We can't think of it as a win or loss. We need to think about it as, where are you now in your gameplay? And how do we improve you as a player? So it's really having a much more healthier mindset, I think, for it. For me, it was, how well can I do with Assault Centurions and Assault Marines? They're terrible units if you listen to anybody else.
Yeah.
But for me, they were standout units because I knew why they were in my list and I knew how to use them, and that's the most important thing.
See, because I love Wolfen and I love the Thunderwolf Cavalry, and it's like, they're two units that Thunderwolf Cavalry have got a bit of a boost recently, but Wolfen have been completely nerfed to hell and stuff, and it annoys me because there's such I like the unit.
I think they're back though. I think Wolfen have got play.
Really?
I genuinely think
so.
You know what, they fight on death. Now with Armour of Contempt means you don't necessarily have to take the Storm Shields.
Yeah.
I think there's play.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Armour of Contempt thing has sort of changed things up somewhat.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I think for me, I do another sort of kind of, like do two podcasts, I do the Geek Pride one and I do one with my mate, which is basically just about tabletop gaming and painting and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were talking about codex creep and sort of pet peeves about 40k and things like that. And mine was this like, you know, for the average Joe who doesn't have loads of money to spend on an army, they shouldn't have to jump to the next best codex to sort of buy, because it's, you know, it's unhealthy, it's not good for your bank balance, it's not good. So you should be able to have an army that is competitive to a point without having to sort of go and spend money on the army. Now, what you've said makes a lot of sense, having realistic goals on when you go to a tournament. For me, it's always like, I don't expect to win a tournament ever, like, because I know I'm not. My lists are semi-fluffy, semi-competitive. I put enough thought into them to make them go, yeah, that could work and that could work. But I don't expect to win. If I come top 50, brilliant. If I come top 10, which three times in my life I think I come top 10 and stuff, that's amazing. But that's just sort of like a thing that's just happened because. Some guy charged his knights into my Wolfen when he shouldn't have done that and stuff, you know, when they make mistakes and things. So and it's just like, for me, it's just like, I want my Space Wolves to be good again. Because they're just such a good army, and I just think as a fluffy sort of thing.
But I tell you what, if they were brilliant, you'd hate it as well.
Oh no, yeah, man.
So the struggle is the good thing, I think.
Man. Like the last tournament I played was this. It was a while back. It was Stonehammer one, and. I played Dreadnought. I did Dreadnoughts, Infiltrators, and Thunderwolf Cavalry, and I thought it was quite a good mixed list. It did well against a Deathwing Terminator list. It did well against a basically melee sort of based Chaos army. It got absolutely obliterated by a Mortal Wounds Necron army that just went Mortal Wounds. And I was just like, oh, fuck's sake.
But that's sometimes the game, right? So you need to know, and I think having the more experience you become with it, you know, maybe this is a bad matchup for me. So maybe my goal of achieving 50 points averagely, maybe it needs to be 45 in this game because it's a harder game. But in another one, you're going to push for that 55. So you still get the average of 50 in every single game.
So you're not doing it per turn, you're doing it per game. You're basically setting yourself goals per game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And hopefully that will, you know, allow you to feel a little bit more fresh going into the game, knowing right, come on, I've got my own a little agenda here in terms of goals I want to achieve, and how am I going to execute that? And then you'll be like, yeah, I did that. Okay, what is it in my list that was maybe lacking and holding me back from scoring that little bit more? Maybe it was a unit to do actions for you. Maybe it was more obsec you needed. Maybe it was a harder hitting combat unit. Whatever it might be, you will find those little ways. I mean, I had a really bad experience at the BAO. One game, my opponent was running NIDs and extremely salty and negative right from the get-go. And this opponent was in the top of the top, sort of where we were in the standings, and it was quite disrespectful that the way that they acted at the table. And I think because they had the meta list, they expected to win. And then when I was just outplaying them in terms of positioning them, they got really funny with me and they didn't know their rules correctly. And actually, I'd much rather play an opponent that knows their rules really well, that we can have a really good back and forth. I don't need to ask you to check every rule. You're not wondering why I'm checking every rule because you've got the last 6 wrong. And it's one of those, we can just enjoy the game and, you know, have a laugh and create a, like one of my games, I've literally got a friend for life. It's brilliant. But it was because we had an awesome game together, not me having to ask you to check something because you're not understanding the game correctly. So
I'm, you know, for me, my rules knowledge, because I've been out, I sort of kind of have dripped in and out of the game basically, are all right. But I'm happy for people to challenge me on things like that. So I very much the case of, if I've done something wrong, I would like you to tell me and stuff like that. It's not a problem for me in any way, shape or form. Dude, you can't do that, or you know, you find that.
It was something like I said, oh hey, I think that stratagem's been FAQ'd. Would you mind checking it for me? And they were like, oh well, you know, and I was like, they checked it, and oh yeah, I can't use it. So again, it's not that that's a problem. It's more a case of, we need to be accepting of it. We need to give our opponent the benefit of the doubt, and we just need to chill out a little bit and just enjoy the game.
Do you feel, because like the Deathwing Terminators I was playing, I didn't, because I'd not played that list before and I didn't understand the rules, so I was questioning him all the time about it and stuff. So I said, what does that do? What does that do? And stuff. And he was explaining it, and I couldn't grasp the concept and stuff. And he was and he was getting really annoyed at me. And I was wrong, you know, he was right, but it was just like, I felt like a dick because I was questioning him about it and stuff. And I was just like, I said to him, I said, look man, I'm really sorry. I wasn't trying to be a knothead or anything. It's just like, I just fully didn't understand what you were trying to get across to me and stuff. So I apologize profusely to him and stuff. But, so I'm very much mindful that when I question somebody, it's not out of like you're
wrong or whatever.
You're wrong.
You want to know.
I want to understand. I
think you said that in exactly the right way. Hey, I'm really struggling to grasp this. Before we move on, would you just mind explaining that to me? Could we have a look through your book quickly? Just so I can understand it a little bit better. And I think you say it in the right way. I'll be like, hey, no worries. Let me talk you through it, because I'd much rather spend that time with you helping you understand my army, so that there's not gotcha moments, or you feel like you're getting caught out, or you feel like, oh, I'm not even sure what's going on here, so there's no point playing. That's a horrible feeling. And something I always, when I start playing a game, I always say, hey, if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask me. Here's what you need to look out for. Here's what my army can do. And it's about being transparent and honest.
That's a very healthy way to do things, man. You
really
get a lot of people, and I've met some amazing people like yourself. You know, I met some really, like, friends for life. I've met some really nice people while playing the game. I've met some absolute neckbeards who, like, I just would never want to talk to ever again. Like, there are some people there, and they're literally throwing strops if you do anything. If you get them at something, then they're just like, they're effectively packing stuff, throwing models into things, and just generally being assholes and stuff. And it's just,
well, hopefully this is obviously like what my campaign in sort of is, just striving to help people understand that there is another way to play. Somebody came up to me earlier and they said, Steve, before I watched your videos, I was a very salty player, and actually watching your videos and taking your inspiration on how you play it, I'm enjoying the game so much more. They've relaxed, they've set more appropriate goals for themselves, and actually they're helping now other people see this other way to play the game, and it's much more enjoyable. So yeah, mate, it'd be great to see you back at tournaments.
Yeah, well, I will, man. I think I want to try and get myself out more, and it's more just for the painting purpose. Because one thing about playing a tournament is I have to paint things.
It's accountability.
My sort of my pile of shame is sort of going. So it's something I want to do and stuff. It's just like it wasn't even the last tournament. It was just more that I think with the way, like I love Games Workshop. I was going to do an article about it. I love them. I've had them since pretty much I was a child and stuff. It's just like I think some of their practices in the way they release codexes and stuff, I'm not sure if I agree. I understand why they do it.
Do you know what has been really tough is it's unfortunately been COVID.
Yeah.
It's had a massive impact behind the scenes in shipping issues, in closures and the rest of it. So hopefully now we're sort of through a lot of that.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm a little bit more privy to things behind the scenes being a playtester, but when people explain, I'm like, of course, that makes perfect sense, right? So hopefully we're through that now, and I'm very excited about the future of the game, the healthy state that it's going to be going into, and the changes that Games Workshop have made in the last 12 months, the commitment to balance updates, and the recent releases of Knights have been fantastic, and hopefully going forward we remain plain sailing.
What are you feeling about squats or the?
I can't wait.
Yeah,
they look awesome, right? They look absolutely awesome.
The thing is, I was like,
and I've got little Jake on my channel, and he's like, I've got an army. They've made an army for me, and I'm like, so Jake's like, I want to do squats. I was like, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so the channel. Yeah. When do you stream? What's the score?
So we stream every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, or British Summer Time, or Greenwich Mean Time, obviously time zone specific. We basically stream our live 40k games. We have an entertainment and educational kind of game. You can interact with us. You can ask us questions. We've also got the podcast, the Competitive 40k podcast,
which is doing
as
very well.
It's doing really well. Yeah. So that's where we cover a little bit rules in a bit more detail. There we have it. Yeah. Well, mate, I want to see you at tournaments again.
Yeah,
and if you need some help with your space rules, you give me a shout, okay?
I think I may do. Yeah. Cheers, dude. I appreciate it.
Hi, this is Peter Ray Allison for Geek Pride, coming to you live from the UK Games Expo 2022. And I am with
Jared Earl, Nightfall Games.
Mark Rapson, Nightfall Games.
Okay, the last time we chatted, Terminator RPG was in development.
Yes.
Where do we stand now?
The PDFs are out and the book is at the printers. We literally discussed before you turned up. We were discussing with the printer who was here the final touches on getting the book started. So it's at the printers. It's being made.
Okay, so literally any day now it could be at your friendly local game store.
Yeah. Give it 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I reckon 5 to 6 weeks.
So August time, expecting it.
July.
End of July probably.
End of July.
Yeah.
Right. So what can we expect from it?
224 printed pages in colour.
Excellent.
That's what you can expect.
Now, Slay Industries has a very powerful visual design.
Yes, it does.
Does that kind of carry over into Terminator?
Yes. So we've got a mixture. So the artists within Slay Industries, a lot of them are also part of the Terminator team, but we also have some new artists in Terminator to make it a little bit different. We've got a lot of very visual and interesting work around it. So there's some really beautiful pieces, very sort of explanatory of what's going on. You've got some new images of all the different Terminators, because there's so many Terminators beyond what we know from the movie. So you've got Terminators that are in effect dogs, you've got rats, you've got cats, but you've got lots of variants, and even ones that look like vagrants that just sit there and hide away. Lots going on, and also there's a campaign book that gives you a whole 12-part campaign that is all story art based around the comic books and some new stuff that we've created as well.
So basically, not only is there going to be a real book, there's also going to be a campaign. Can we expect GM screens, expansions?
Yeah, GM screen, and this is a bit of a scoop for you. As of yesterday, I commissioned Andrew Gasker, who's the main author. He's also the guy behind Aliens RPG.
Fantastic game.
Awards everywhere. So I've just commissioned him to write a 12-parter campaign that we're going to release monthly over the next 12 months.
Oh, wow.
And that's going to be really exciting. So we do that as a PDF, so it'll be quick for people to download, and then eventually at the end of it we may well look at setting it up as a book in its own form. So
that is fantastic, because I mean, there's a lot of dedicated fans behind Terminator. I mean, also there's a lot of material out there. You've got the comics, the films,
that's it.
and the video games. I mean, when you're kind of creating the
Should we
game.
tell them the other thing as well?
Go on.
So Terminator,
This
first movie, comic books.
That's
the
what we
first
have
movie.
for this
Where would
license.
you go next?
T2.
Okay, we'll do T2.
Let's do.
Nice.
Hey, should we do Terminator
We'll do
2?
T2. Yeah.
Let's get the
Fantastic.
license, shall we?
Yeah, we'll do it.
That, by
We've
the
done
way,
it.
is an official scoop
Yeah.
Excellent. So,
that we haven't told anybody until we
so
told you.
T2 is that going to be like a separate Roper game or an expansion for this?
It's going to be, in effect, an expansion on this book. So you will be able to play all the new stuff. So what makes this really exciting is obviously T1000, so
Yep.
the liquid metals, but you're also going to have the ability to now play T800s and some of the other Terminators as playable characters. How cool is that? So you imagine your group of survivors includes a T800 or a TS300 or whatever you decide to do. So,
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, I mean, well, one thing we'd ask as well is like the T800s are much more physically powerful
Yeah.
than the humans.
Thank you, Matt.
And so how do you kind of, from a game balance perspective, how do you kind of balance the human characters with the T800s?
This will all be answered in the Terminator 2 book.
Yeah, and
Excellent.
There's certain things that, for example, they might be really good at, they might be very sturdy and strong and powerful, but are they socially capable? Are
Yeah.
they
Intelligent
enough for investigation, etc., etc.?
Can they make abstract leaps
Yes.
of thought or
Yeah.
have unique concepts that they can come up with, or are they just literally following a set needs of programming? All of these things need to be determined inside the character for balancing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
You
that's
know
what
what-
our
you know
team's
how.
currently doing right now.
Excellent. So when could we expect that, really?
Well, we're likely to be doing the Kickstarter within this year, and I suspect that'll be towards quarter 3, quarter 4 of this year.
Yep.
Given that we're in quarter 2 already, so,
Yeah.
or towards the end of it. So,
Then at least a year's development.
yeah, well, we've got stuff's already going on.
Right.
So we've got lots going on right now, but what we will do obviously is we want to get to a certain point before we go to Kickstarter, so we don't have quite such a delay of release afterwards, and also the more we get done beforehand, the less variables there are afterwards, so it means we're more likely to get an estimate of delivery better as a company, and that's something we want to do across all.
So have a foundation to work from,
Yeah.
and then you can like have a much more dedicated timeline.
So Terminator for us is going to be an ongoing and key part of our product range, but we've also got a lot of other things coming as well. So we've got obviously more stuff coming for Slay Industries. We've announced a game called Haravel, we've announced a game called Stokerverse RPG based around Dracula and all of that stuff, and we've also got a more board game that we're creating, which will be called Demon Dog, which has come out of Dave Alsop's mind alongside Jared and myself, and this is looking, it's going to be a small book like Morg Borg, but it'll be from Nightfall Games. It's our ode to the Morg Borg thing.
That's excellent. I look forward to playing all those games in the future.
Matt Geary here, UK Games Expo 2022 with Will. War on Terror. What's the name of the company?
So the company name is AWA Game Design.
Okay.
That stands for Alex Weber, William Anton.
Okay.
It's a nice, easy way of putting us both in the company name, and we're the guys who've produced War on Terror.
Okay, so what is War on Terror?
War on Terror is well, without sounding too cliche, it's a brand new sci-fi tabletop war game that we want to bring to the world, hopefully toward the end of this year. We're looking at winter time. The one thing we've noticed from talking to people here at the Expo, what really makes it different is we get a lot of people asking, is it skirmish or is it army? The best way I can say and answer that is yes, it's both. It doesn't matter depending on the size of the game, the time you've got, the rules are the rules, they scale.
See, this is right. So this is one thing, and this is why we're talking to you, because I've been wargaming for forever. I'm 40 years old now. I started pretty much when when Rogue Trader came out in 40k, like in the 80s and stuff. Like I've been from the very start.
Yeah.
Like all types, fantasy, historic, sci-fi, everything. And the one thing that's always bugged me about wargame is scalability.
Yeah.
And how that there's very much a case of you have one scale and that's it, and then it doesn't go very well whenever they start putting in bigger sets of units and stuff like that. And so when you said it was scalable, I was just like, winner.
Well, let me explain.
Okay.
The one reason we found, I mean, I am a 40k lover.
Yep.
Have been since I was younger, very young. My brother got me into it when I was like 7. So that was like 2nd edition.
Right, okay.
So really early in there. And The reason why it doesn't work when you try and either scale it down to skirmish, and that's why you have like things like Kill Team, and scaling it up, you get loads of different types of units added on, is because a lot of games are focused on the unit base. So you buy a unit and they have to stay as a blob. Whereas being ex-military, if we came under fire, the section would distribute. So you don't come under you're not all an easy target. So within the game, in-game lore, they're called attachments. So every model counts as an individual attachment as is, but they can also join up in their data sheet. They have what's called an attachment type. If they share that type, if they're within 2 inches, they count as also a single attachment of now many more models.
Okay.
Splitting up, if you come under fire, is tactically advantageous. An attachment can only shoot or attack at one attachment. So if you're coming under heavy fire, scatter, because they can only shoot with one of you. But then you lose certain bonuses for being blobbed up. If you want to take out a tank, if you're going to get certain bonuses for being blobbed up, that's on you. The game works very similar to chess in the fact that you can play the same game multiple times in a row, but it's going to be a different game because in chess, if you move a different pawn instead of another, like in your knight, that's going to change on how your opponent moves.
So is this activations? How does it work? Is it alternate activations, or is it one side, other side?
So one side, the other side. All the movement is done in the same phase. So it's a game done on turns. You have obviously turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. They're all the same turns, but the phases in the game work differently to others. So what you've got, you always roll for priority. Priority is going to tell you who goes first in said turn.
Okay.
The priority player does not choose who goes first. You won, you go first for that turn. Tough. The way our game works, and I can guarantee
it can change each turn?
Absolutely.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you the guys playing over there have already wanted to go second and lose priority. Because how the phases work is, the main 3 phases, there are others, but you've got movement, shooting or ballistic, and combat. If you won priority, you don't do all 3 at once, and then it's mine. You move, then I move. You shoot, then I shoot. You then do combat, close combat, and then I do my close combat.
All right, okay.
So if you go first and you move into a good position to shoot my guys, I am well within my power to move in my movement phase to move my guys into cover.
All right, so it's not like in 40K where it's like I do all my movement, I do my shooting, and then I do my charge. It's
because that's
moving.
how it, yes,
yeah.
Yeah. So going second is beneficial because if they move out in the open, one, like I said, you can swing and hide behind cover. But also with shooting, you can then move into a better position to shoot or attack them because of you going second. But sometimes you need to shoot them and get their numbers down, so you want to shoot first.
Right.
So it all depends on how you're playing, how the turns are looking, depending on if you want to go first or second.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's how it's scalable as well. So everything is between every player.
And so far, how many factions have you got?
So we've got 5 planned already. So general humans, everybody loves a human. A lot of us don't. A lot of us like going for other alien races. But we've tried to make the human guys look pretty cool. The armor we've invented is usable, if you will. I love ornate styles of armor, but coming from a military background, sometimes I look at them, I'm just like, that ain't gonna work on a battlefield. I'm sorry. We have our alien force, one of them called the Greys, spelt with an A, because they're named by the Americans, and they are based on the Roswell Greys, because we love that style of alien, so does everyone.
Yep.
You've got your lovely bug faction, everybody loves a bug faction, named the Haraka.
Yep.
You've got your ethereal sort of specialist elite force or faction called the Watchers. Lower model count, stronger fellas. And then a human-made sort of robot faction that's defected, if you will. They're not AI, just very intelligent programming that can go wrong because of solar flares or whatever happens in the universe, called the Talus. Those are the 5 planned factions at the moment. We've got a couple more in our minds ready for the future if all this kicks off and goes well.
What about lore and stuff like that? Have you got yourself a good rich background for it?
Absolutely. We're both massive science fiction nerds. We know that with a game as lovely as the models are, people want to know lore. They want to know the history, they want to know the future, they want to know why their faction may be good at close combat, versus just, oh, that's just how we designed it.
Yeah.
So if you do pop to the website, what you're going to find is it's very lore heavy. There's a load of coming soon pages because we're going to slowly drip feed you those over time. But there's a huge timeline that explains leading up to modern day, obviously.
Yeah.
They have all color coded, so all of our 5 factions have colors donating to them. Humans, it's a red. Greys, it's like a purpley pink. Watchers, it's a blue. Harakas, it's a nice like bug green.
Yeah.
So next to part on the timeline, if it's got the symbol and the color of that faction, that for the timeline is genuinely that faction's main focus.
Right. Okay.
And then what we've got is other pages. Got read here, click more, and that will open up even from the timeline. You've got a little blurb, read more, and it will bring up a larger page explaining more in depth about what's happening at that point in time.
And the Kickstarter, when's it coming out?
We're just saying winter. We want October, but we understand that no plan survives really as much as you want it to. So that's why we are having to say winter. Yes, yeah. But no.
So winter, we're potentially looking at this. Is there, with how many sort of type of variants are we going to have? So what are you thinking about sort of when you're releasing the Kickstarter? Like how many units will each faction have?
So the starter boxes that we're going to have released for the Kickstarter. General per army, it's going to be very limited at first.
Yeah.
You're going to find about 4, maybe 5 different types in a starter box for the armies. Mm-hmm. We have all of their intelligence records planned for all armies. Right. So there's well over 80 different types of attachments that you can choose from. Some armies have more infantry, some armies have more vehicles. It all depends on the type. But in the boxes, the best thing about them is what we're aiming for is the 5 factions have their starter box army. When you buy a starter box, you get to choose. So if you don't like the Greys, but you really want humans and then the Haraka, choose that starter box. So you're going to have 10 different variations of starter box. But you are looking at the scope. We've already planned way more different types of models coming out.
They look really good. They're really good. And the idea of scalability and having sort of effect. It is alternate actions in a way, isn't it?
It's more. It's reactive on the way that because you move, then I move. I'm just reacting normally in a game sense to where you've moved.
Yeah.
So it's out of turn. It's in turn kind of thing. Yeah.
So you've got to think about it, I suppose, because if you're moving, you're going to go right. If I move, they are probably going to react to my movement.
Yeah.
So you've got to sort of maybe bring that into account. So it is like chess. You've got to sort of kind of lure them into traps.
Absolutely.
And
even then, you've got to also think on your feet, because if they have a big blob and you think, perfect, I'm surrounding them, I'm going to take out 20 of their guys. But during their movement phase, they separate that one attachment of 20 into 5 different size attachments. Well, then that's messed with your plans. So then you've got to think on your feet. So you've got to change your overall plan to what they're doing as well, because again, attachments don't stay as a blob. They can separate at any stage of the game.
And with regards to sort of play testing and stuff, because obviously one of the big bugbears for a lot of 40k players is that there's a lot of ambiguity within rules. There's also stuff that's just broken. How have you sort of kind of worked around that?
So rules-wise, they're all going to be available free on the website pretty soon. As well as the character sheets that we've got, or the intelligence records that we're playing with right now. So people will be able to go away and play test themselves. None of this behind the scenes play testing. We've done an awful lot of it ourselves, but we're not a million people all playing through all of the inevitable or impossible number of variations.
Yeah.
We've got certain wording on the rules. The first bit on the rules on the website and any rule page will say rule word specifics. So certain words will be bold, certain words will be capitalized, certain words will have chevrons next to them, quotation marks, dashes. They will confer to different types of rules. So you could have 4 words, all the same words in line. If they're written in a different way, they confer to either a special rule, a game rule, a general rule, or a model type. That really helps us make sure that you know what we mean. We're also massive on, we hate ambiguity. So we use the same terminology. A lot of games we noticed try and make things cooler. So when you kill a model, it will say, and this model is then annihilated. But in another part of the rule, it will say, and then remove the model from the tabletop. So is there a difference between when a model gets annihilated or removed?
Yeah.
We always use the same words to remove ambiguity. The way the rules are written can seem a little bit wordy, but that's because we just want to get rid of that ambiguity. Yeah, we really dislike that in rules. We've read through many different types of rules. Sometimes picking up a game even from like an expo like this, we get home and it's like, this game's fun, but I think we're playing it right. And it's like, I hope we are, because it's good this way. If it's different, then I'm worried. So with the rules being free, with memberships and subscribing on the website, what it does mean, on the forum, under like a general rules or area, if people do consistently find issues with a certain part, we'll send everyone an email saying, hey, the rule wasn't broken, but we did understand it needed to be rewritten and worded slightly differently. So here's an email with what it used to look like and how it is now. Re-download the PDF, crack on.
Okay, yeah, because I think that's a massive thing. It's like, especially in 40K, it's like you buy rules and then they're updated, and then it's just like they're always somebody finding.
I ain't got that level of like pocket.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
It's just sort of frustrating. I think a lot of people.
And it leaves you more money to buy the models.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, because I like our models.
Yeah. That's it. Cool. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you very much.
No worries.
So Kickstarter in the winter, hopefully.
That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're really aiming for.
Keep an eye out for War and Terror, winter time this year. Check it out.
Yes.
Hi everyone, this is Peter Ray Allison for Geek Pride coming to you from the UK Games Expo 2022, and I'm with Matthias Hockey, creator of Symbaroum.
One of the creators of Symbaroum, yes, but I have the great pleasure of being the brand manager and the editor-in-chief, you can say, and I'm responsible for the setting and adventures and such. Yeah,
Symbaroum was very different to other role-playing games out there. I mean, it was a very dark, grim, grounded setting compared to other like typical high fantasy.
Oh yeah, and you can say that.
Yeah, I mean, when did the idea of a Symbaroum come to the head? What was kind of the catalyst?
Oh, I've been at it making games since, the last millennium, before the shift to the late 1900s. So, and we've always had the design idea that we want to create the games we like to play. So, much of the elements that you will find in Symbaroum, in the Symbaroum setting, are stuff that we developed while playing fantasy games.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to the specifics of the Symbaroum setting, it sort of builds on an old Swedish role-playing game that's called Drakar och Demoner, Dragons and Demons.
Okay.
So, and an old campaign setting for that, in which we, grew up playing a lot. And it's always hard to pinpoint exactly sources of inspiration. So, but if I had to highlight one of them in particular, it would probably be Drakar och Demoner, the Swedish classic role-playing game.
Yeah, because there's a feel like there's lots of kind of Swedish folklore embedded within the game. So that tonally.
Not necessarily Swedish, but Germanic, Northern Europe. Yeah, that's definitely so.
Yeah, I mean, and also one thing I really like the game is like the themes are kind of baked into the mechanics.
Oh yeah, that's something that we really strive for, and in this case, pride ourselves with.
Yeah.
That I think we hit a really nice. We found a really nice way to tie the setting and the mechanics together in the corruption mechanics mainly.
Exactly.
So that's what insanity is for Call of Cthulhu, or that piece of mechanic that really anchors the dice rolls and the challenges in the specific game setting.
Yeah, I mean, I think in many ways, like the mechanics of the game can only be really used to Symbaroum, and that's telling in that it's the first 100 pages of the book is purely setting information.
Oh yeah, that is also. I know there are people who like to read the Symbaroum core book from the back because they are so used to starting with the mechanics and such.
Yeah.
But to us, as a team of designers, the setting has always come first. When it comes to role-playing games, as opposed to board games or whatnot, the rules are really there to put the story into motion.
Yeah.
The rules are catering to the story rather than the other way around. So it felt really important for us to lead with the setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I remember one of the big things is like you've got the multi-part campaign series.
Oh yeah.
Thrones of Thrones. I mean that's 7
Oh,
volumes.
it's going to be 6 books. I'm
6
currently writing the final one. I'm like about 90% through.
Oh, well, I mean that is an epic. I mean,
Oh yeah.
at what point did you kind of realise what you're going to? Go on.
This is a very good question, and I ask it myself
Yeah.
quite often, especially now that I'm nearing the finish line. It was. We like to design our games around a plot or a narrative structure that puts the setting in motion, so to speak, that makes it live on its own. When you read the Symbaroum core book, you should feel like stuff is actually going on in that world between your readings. So you put the book down, stuff continues to happen in that setting, and then you pick it back up and you visit the setting again, and so on. So designing the game around a campaign, you don't have to play the campaign to enjoy Symbaroum, but I believe that the Monster Codex, the core book, the Advanced Player's Guide, the rules stuff, really benefits from having that sense of what kind of story is supposed to be told by using these rules or guidelines or whatever.
When I've been reading the rule books, it feels like this is a world in motion.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel static.
A world in motion. That's what I was trying to say, but with much more words.
Yeah, but I mean, like it feels like a snapshot of what's going on, but in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, it could be quite different.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, one of the latest releases for Symbaroum is the 5e edition.
Oh yeah. Especially in America, but also here in Europe, often when we go to conventions, we get these a little bit sad game masters coming up to us saying that I love this game, I love this setting, I want to play it, but my players don't want to play anything but 5e.
Really?
So that's what gave us the idea initially. And then we started thinking about it, and the Symbaroum original game line will continue to lead the development.
Oh, nice.
But seeing the early reception, because the game Ruins of Symbaroum 5e, it releases next week on Tuesday.
Yep.
But we have already sent it to backers. And not being a 5e player myself, really, I have had sort of a hard time being the project lead for it because I can't really judge how good is this. But now that backers are starting to receive it, the response has been fantastic. Except from some Symbaroum players that says that this is not Symbaroum.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
No. Why? Because it's supposed to cater to a different kind of taste when it comes to... It is still much more gritty and deadly and dark and lore heavy than your typical 5e game, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's far from being what Symbaroum is.
Absolutely, yeah. And so, like you said, you're nearly finishing 6th volume of Throne of Thorns.
Yeah.
What's next? Where do you go from here?
What's next? Some R&R, I would say. Some well-earned R&R.
Very true.
No, we have actually quite a lot on the stove, simmering at the moment.
Can you say it?
I can say a little bit. We will keep on releasing. We quite like these hardback books.
Yeah.
Meaty ones with a little bit of lore and a little bit of adventure and a little bit of setting that makes it possible for the game master to, homebrew scenarios or whatnot, even campaigns. So you will see 1 to 2 of these in the years to come.
Yeah.
Focusing on different parts of the setting that are still to be, developed and examined in detail. And the first one will probably be set in the town of Agrella, which is, the high seat of the Ordo Magica. It's the high seat of Archduchess Esmeralda. For some of you, this doesn't mean anything. I know that, but
Read the Symbaroum rulebook, it'll tell you everything.
Those of you who play Symbaroum,
Yeah.
But more than that, I cannot reveal at the moment.
Okay.
It's a lot of hush hush.
Okay.
And also today, being a part of Free League,
Yeah.
we have quite a lot of games to cater to, a lot of brands to keep alive and keep going. And we are super fond of them all, so we have to share the love.
Yeah.
A little bit for Symbaroum, some for Coriolis, and Tales from the Loop, and Alien, and so on. So
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with the Free League games is that they are beautiful. They are really
Thanks.
beautiful to look at.
yeah, we are blessed, I would say, by having very good in-house artists that are also actually co-owners.
Yeah.
So they can't like run away and do other stuff for someone else. We have really good professional layout artists as well. So yeah, being a writer and game designer for Free League is, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
Having so good co-workers.
I mean, like also the art is kind of very distinctive for each book. It doesn't feel like, oh, is this artist doing something else? No, it's completely distinctive art style. That's key to the game, and absolutely fantastic games. Well, Matthias, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone, and see you next time.
Everybody, Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UKGE at the Geek and Son stand. We're back 4 years later with Martin.
Hello.
And Terry.
Hello.
So, Martin, it's been a long time. I've not
Right,
seen
it's
you
been,
for a
yeah.
while. I've missed you.
Well, I missed you too, mate. It's good to see you, actually, with the mic
Yeah, I
and
know.
doing your stuff.
Everybody else has got their thing. It's good to be back. It really is. So, what's been going on? What have you been up to? I've seen Kickstarters. I've seen you've been keeping yourself busy. What's new? What's going on?
Obviously, you know our bespoke line of the tables because you've got one of us, the Dennis.
It's the most beautiful thing I own. I honestly, like when you brought that table to me, I've never been so emotional. My ex got jealous because I showed more attention to that table.
I feel guilty now.
You shouldn't, because he's an ex. But it's like, she got really annoyed at me because it's like me just hugging this thing and stuff, and she's just like, you never do that to me. And I'm just like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Beautiful table. Yeah. So yes.
Yeah, so our lineup of the bespoke tables grew a bit by extra addition, which is the Virgo table, which is the top-notch table, the ultimate gaming table.
This one here?
The brown one over there.
Yeah. It's
in the walnut color. It's completely different approach to design of a table.
Okay.
So it is dining and gaming table, but it's leaning towards more as a proper gaming table, like Warhammer, miniature, RPG gaming style.
Yeah.
When the table is designed around player stations. So here, when we designed the table, what we had in mind, it was just comfort of individual players. So when we designed the table, we rather build the table around 6 or 8 stations, instead of like you give us the exact dimensions of your space and then we build a table to fit in the space.
Right.
Where here is a specific size to give a comfort to players. Then you've got individual player stations, so you can open up for players. They can pose their miniatures, their stuff inside of a table. There's a special gate we can just secure it. And it's built with all the other stuff we got in our table, so like sound systems, LED lighting, and electric adjustable systems to adjust your depth of the game surface. So it's loads with loads of options.
So busy? Are you busy?
I am. And our team is as well. we grew. Terry's our new addition to our team as well.
Yeah, we were going to get to the noob. We were going to get to him. So Terry.
Sorry, Terry.
Terry, so how is it? How is your first, 6 months you've been here?
Since February.
February. Okay.
And I have to say, it feels like, compared to where I used to work, it feels like I'm working at Google. I'm very well looked after. We've got a lovely place where we work.
Yeah.
All the gear we need. big monitors. When I first went in, they had 2 monitors. I didn't turn it on for a while, and they had to come in and encourage me to use the second monitor. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I used to have like a little computer like this. He's like, we've got monitors, we've got this, we've got that. And yeah, so now I'm like flicking between screens.
What's your role? What are you doing? You pimping their ride? Are you trying to sort of sell their stuff?
Sell this stuff, basically, yeah. So I look after
Well, it sells itself, doesn't it?
It does.
It does, actually, yeah. So my job's pretty easy. But I look after the info at Geek Instant mailbox.
Right.
So anything that comes in there, that comes to me, and then I send it on to where it's got to go. All the sales stuff I try and look after, and just try and keep it, because we got loads, since they, as I understand it, the last couple of years, it's gone mad for them. So we get a lot of emails. So I'm the guy that's trying to keep on top of that and keep the service going well.
Right, okay.
So that's what I'm.
So I don't have to.
Yeah, so I can sit back and relax.
Well,
Just a bit.
so how? I'll keep you too long because I appreciate you're very busy, which
No
is
worries.
good to hear. But how did COVID affect you guys and stuff? How was that sort of for business?
During the COVID, we introduced our Kickstarter tables.
Yeah.
So it went through the roof,
Yeah.
basically. I think there was a time when people actually started to focus more on refurbishing their houses, putting new furniture, because you couldn't travel, you couldn't go anywhere with the lockdown and stuff. So you started to focus around what you've got in your house. So the tables we introduced, they just, like I said, went through the roof, and that's how we focus more on the Kickstarter lines.
Yeah.
Along with our custom table line as well. But we could then transfer some of the features into streamlined tables to have good tables without any compromise for a wider audience.
Is this
The Megan.
Yeah, the Megan. Yeah.
Then we've got the Bristol,
Yeah.
which we introduced last year into the Kickstarter, and the Archer, which is a completely madness in modularity and stuff. We done our Kickstarter a few months ago.
Okay. Brilliant. Very good. Anything new coming up?
Mate, it's a lot new. In the last 4 years, what more? Would you like to? Yeah, we have TV builds in the coffee tables. We can build TVs in
Honestly,
our
like,
tables.
I'm not just saying this because I've got one, but they are the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. They're so well made, and they're just so pretty.
I think the main thing you can tell about this is quality across all ranges of our furniture. This is what we stand for. This is what we came from, because we started with bespoke, custom-built tables made to spec, and we wanted to convey these values into other lines we will just introduce to wider public.
Yeah.
So that's what we stand for.
And you've got one on Kickstarter at this moment in time?
No, it's been on the Kickstarter. This is the whole roll up,
right.
but it's now on a late pledge and pledge manager phase.
Okay.
So people can still join in, and then on the Game Found there's another table called Bristol Plus, which is nice, nice size table and quite simple in design.
Yeah. Beautiful things. And it's really good seeing you. Really good.
I'm
good to be
really
back.
chuffed to bits, mate.
Yeah, man.
To see you.
So thank you very much, Terry. You'll no doubt hear from me at some point in time. But, I'll send you the video when it gets done. But I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you later.
Hi everyone, this is Peter Ray Allison for Geek Pride, coming to you from UK Games Expo 2022, and I'm with Pete Ward.
Hello.
Of Rebellion Unplugged.
Yep.
Pete, how's it been?
It's been great. It's been great to be back here. It's been a while since we've been at UK Games Expo, so it's nice to be here, everyone to be around. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about Sniper Elite, the board game. Now, how did that come about? I mean, Sniper Elite is originally a video game. What was it like making it into an actual tactile board game?
Well, first of all, you had Duncan, the head of Rebellion Unplugged. He reached out to the designer, David Thompson, saying, we're looking to do something with the Sniper IP. Do you have any ideas of how you might do that as a board game? David Thompson, loads of experience developing games. He came back, he had a few ideas, one of them being a hidden movement game for one player playing as a sniper, other players trying to hunt him down. Duncan liked the sound of that, so said, yep, sounds good, let's go with it. David then reached out to his friend Roger Tankersley, who's like a hidden movement expert, and then it just progressed from there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like Sniper Elite has a lot of the video game has a lot of mechanics under the hood, as it were.
Yeah.
Now, kind of here, it's been, because it's very tactile,
Yeah.
you have to kind of like lots of, how do you kind of streamline the whole process to make us kind of creating the Sniper Elite experience as a board game?
Well, that mainly came down to David and Roger working on it from the design perspective. They played a lot of the video game. They were really looking at what would work as a board game and what wouldn't. And the thing they really tacked onto was the stealth aspect is really interesting. And that risk of when you take a shot in Sniper Elite, sometimes you'll line up the perfect shot and it will just go wrong. Sometimes you'll make a bit too much noise. And they've tried to incorporate all of that into the board game.
So it's basically like, so keep the core aspects, ditch the kind of more superfluous ones, but just focus on what is Sniper Elite.
There are some things in Sniper Elite that you just can't get into the board game. You can't get the slow motion kill cams. It's just not going to work. But you can get that stealth in there, so that's a good direction to go.
Nice. Now, I mean, creating a board game is no easy endeavour. So how long did it take to make the board game?
So it came to Kickstarter 2 years ago. And obviously, just when the pandemic was hitting. So that slowed things down a little bit. But, you know, every board game is an absolute labour of love from the designers, from the team who work on it. So it's just been, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did the pandemic have any impact on the production and manufacturing of the board game?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of publishers are still seeing that it is happening. Like, you know, every so often you might hear that one of the factories you're working with have gone into lockdown. So that can add who knows how long to schedules. Then you've also got things like the shipping crisis that we had last year. Lots of things that can weigh in to just make a task where it should have taken this amount of time. Unfortunately, it's now taken this long.
And also you released the role-playing game as well, which is Tartarus Gate.
Yep.
Can you tell me about that, please?
So it's a magazine format role-playing game. So the idea is that the GM gets the magazine, they can take it to their game night, open it up, pass the players everything that they need to play the game and just get straight into it. Each issue is going to be giving three play sessions, so about 9 hours total playing through the game.
And this is like just everything in a single magazine format?
Absolutely everything is there that you need. The rule sheet is 4 pages, so it's super easy to actually learn how to play and get rolling with it. You can give the players the handouts each of them needs. You've got your GM's handbook to give you everything you need to run the game. All of the handouts are also available just to download online, so if you were trying to play it remotely, that's no problem at all.
Oh, nice. It's just all there, ready to go. So
yeah.
That's brilliant. And I mean, are these games ready to go now? Are they going to be released soon?
Tartarus Gate is out now.
Excellent.
And there's going to be more Adventure Presents coming in the future. Probably next issue's coming in 2023.
Okay, and Sniper Elite, is that out now? Or
Sniper Elite, UK's retail release was last Tuesday, so it is out now in the UK. The rest of the world, in the US, it's coming 14th of June.
Okay, and what you got planned? Obviously, these are just 2 games. Rebellion plugs?
Oh, we've got a lot more stuff planned, but there's only so much I can mention. I can mention we've got a reprint of Ian Livingstone's Judge Dredd coming later this year.
Oh, that was a great game.
So bringing back the classic, but it's one that we've been able to revisit. Duncan's worked on the development of it, so adding some new features. Can't delve too far into it, but there's some exciting new stuff so that players who remember the old game will have the experience they remember, but also new things to dig their teeth into.
So basically, keep the same themes, but with the modern mechanics and the modern mindset. Yeah. That's fantastic. And when can we expect that?
We're looking at October for that one.
That soon?
Yeah.
Wow, that is not long. Well, Pete, thank you very much for your time today. Have a great UK Games Expo.
You too.
See you around.
Everybody, Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UK Games Expo 2022, and I'm here with Rob from Dice Works.
Hi.
Nice things. So it's been 4 years, Rob. 4 years since we saw you last.
That really has flown, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. So how's your expo going?
It's all right. I've ended up doing this one on my own, which is a bit of a stress. And the guy that normally does the show with me is actually getting married tomorrow, and I'm a groomsman at his wedding. So I've got somebody else covering my stand tomorrow for the busiest day, but it's looking like we won't have any stock left anyway. So happy days.
So no drinking tonight.
Oh well, I don't know. I said that yesterday. I was walking around. I'm like, I'm really thirsty all the time, and I keep drinking things that aren't beer, and it's not doing anything. So then I went and had a beer, see if that worked. It was a moderate improvement, but yeah, it's. I've just absolutely just like yesterday when we were unpacking and stuff. It's so hot in here.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, all right, really positive. Generally, really positive. Love demoing flicks because people are always. It's a nice fun one to show off.
It really
People
is.
can get into it. People can get into it really quick, so they can be left to their own devices a little bit, so you can kind of interact with some other people around and stuff. So yeah,
well, this is the
lots
game.
of people getting very excited.
This is the game that when we came 4 years ago, it was just like that's amazing. You know, we were just sort of like it had something different. It just had something. It's just like
yeah, it's unique, isn't it?
Yeah, really unique's definitely the word. And yeah, and I went straight out and backed the Kickstarter pretty much straight after that.
Very, very much appreciated. Sorry for the delay.
So
on that note.
On that note. So the chaps behind you, we had Mark and Jared on the podcast, and we were talking about sort of their Kickstarters and stuff, and I'm always quite interested in sort of like finding out what the score is with people on Kickstarters.
General logistics.
Yeah, and then I said, you know, I've got a Kickstarter coming in. It's called Airflix. We tested it at Games Expo ages ago. It's not turned up yet. I wasn't sort of being an asshole, but I was kind of going, it's like what the hell's going on? And he basically said to me, he says, look, man, you know, there's a lot more behind the scenes that you don't see. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of extra money.
Kickstarters as I was saying to you earlier on, the thing with the Kickstarters is that, like, normally products just exist, and the first thing anybody knows about something existing is when it's already finished. And I think with Airflix, we went to Kickstarter with it quite early in the procedure, and I wanted to use the Kickstarter funds to just bring in loads of extra sculpts and stuff. So we ended up basically throwing a load of money into basically the entire Kickstarter money went into extra sculpts and extra maps and everything like that. Because I was like, we're just going to build this into a brand. But then we hit just problem after problem with it. We did an issue with the mats, an issue with the discs. The biggest one was the discs because I've just got a batch back of the stuff that he was using originally, which is like cast acrylic. But when we did the bases the first time around, he used I think is it extruded? Do you know the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So extruded acrylic apparently has a lower melt temperature. So when he put the laser through the disc, the edge underneath had a little rim. So when you try to flick it, it just goes ding, and that's So that was, how many discs was that? It was a lot. It was 6,000, something like that. So they all had to be individually. I gave them back to him, and he had them filed down, but they still weren't working. So we had to individually basically file and test every single disc. So it was like 200 man hours or something to get the disc into shape to move. Eaststar messed up the mat order the first time around with the colour. They replaced it. Then they got the quantities wrong, which we've only just found out like recently. Then they've corrected it free of charge, which is nice. But we've had that. We had the company that was doing the casting stopped casting, so we had to switch companies and get all new molds made. So it's just been
one after the other.
Just one chaos after another chaos at the same time as everything else in the world that everybody else is having to deal with, like your COVIDs and your what else did we have? Brexit, COVID.
So Brexit affected the costs.
Monkeypox. Yeah, so it's just, and then we found ourselves in a situation where, because we'd not been able to really go to Kickstarter with anything new, because we'd got outstanding projects, we'd already pumped money into other projects, and bank balance was not looking particularly sharp, and then escalating shipping costs meant that we couldn't afford to ship it. So basically what we've been doing is doing the other stuff that we do in the business, which is prototyping, manufacturing. We do like the stand furniture and all that kind of stuff, and using the money from that to basically make up the difference in the shipping. So that because Airflix was already very late, I really didn't want to pass any costs at all onto the backers because it's so late. So basically, I've just been making the money to cover the extra between the two projects that I've got. It's about an extra 20 grand we've had to come up with to do the shipping. So yeah.
So what is there anything you would have done knowing what you know now? Now, I appreciate you wouldn't have known about the issues and stuff, but is there anything you might have done differently? Is there anything you would have sort of, looking back on it, you go, I wouldn't have done that. I might not have done that.
I would have probably. I would like to have been. I always say after because I did something similar with Exodus where I kind of got it to a point, and I've always had this idea in my head of, Kickstarter used to be something where people would come come with a project that was kind of half finished and say like, hey, this is this thing that I'm intending to make. If you guys give me money, I'm going to make this thing. So I know that it doesn't work like that anymore, and essentially you've got like a lot of people say it's a pre-order system because people are coming with complete projects. What I like to do is come with a project that looks complete, but then still use the Kickstarter money to actually develop it and make it a bigger thing than it was at the point that we put it onto Kickstarter. Yeah. And I did that with both of these projects, and in hindsight, because of the issues, it's caused me a lot of problems, and I think that I really am going to have to start going to Kickstarter with things that are in essence complete at the time that we do it, so we can just roll straight into manufacturing.
So that's it. Like I've always assumed, you know, I understand that's what Kickstarter is, but when I bought board games, it's like it's a completed game that just needs produced effectively.
They just need to hit print.
Pretty much. It's just like, this is the game. Because like when we saw this, it looked like, wow, this is a full game. It's like that, and then it's just like all they need to do is press the print button and. You know.
See, one of the things is I'm a graphic designer, and I tend to make when I'm doing prototypes, I make my prototypes look like finished games. So even when I've got something that's quite early, because I just make it look pretty well, just incidentally while I'm working on it. So like things always sort of look further along than they really are, which you know, for in terms of presenting it to people somewhere like this or on a Kickstarter, it's quite a nice thing. But
are you fully fulfilled now, or?
No, we've still got not many. I think there's about 50 that still need to go out that are in quite obscure shipping locations that are now around about like 70-80 pounds or something to ship to. So, like, yeah, some of the more remote ones. We've got there's a few American ones on there that were I think colour painted sets, because we changed painter as well part way through, because there was a drama with that as well. But there was a drama with pretty much every aspect. So it's you know.
Did you have the same problems with Exodus, or?
No, different ones. I mean, Exodus wasn't delayed as much as Flix was, but again, we've still got the last of the Exodus shipping to do, and it is literally a case at the moment of the shipping is like tens of thousands of pounds more than it was going to be. So like the stuff that we shipped into like Germany, for example. That was one of the interesting ones that we had as well, because it was the Brexit. It was actually a Brexit COVID combo, because it was when the VAT rules were going to change. So everybody was trying to get stuff out before Christmas. And we got all of Germany packed and on a pallet to drop off at our local DHL depot, and the following day they closed the border. So we ended up unpacking all that stuff and just reallocating and sending it to UK backers, because it was something, while the world was all over the place, it was the only thing that we could do to actually move stuff out. So it's just been spinning plates really. So, but we will get there, and I'm confident that we have. We should be done in about, I would say, 6 weeks to finish absolutely everything, just with like knowing, unless shipping jumps again by another, 40% or something ridiculous.
Obviously, it's been a quite a stressful time for you, and to be honest, I felt bad. I'm generally quite a patient person and stuff, but I was just like, oh, it's been 4 years now. What's taking so long and stuff? But it's like, has it put you off putting stuff on Kickstarter? Because there has been, like, I was reading some of the comments, and some people have just been assholes and stuff. There wasn't sort of.
Yeah, but it's always with Kickstarter. There's a vocal minority, and for every person that's like a bit arsey on the Kickstarter, there's like 6-7 people that'll just immediately message me after and go, "Hey, that guy's being an absolute." You know what I mean? So it's like. There's way more support than there is negativity, even for a project that's like trailing on for as long as Airflix has ended up trailing on for. So yeah, I mean, I'm not discouraged from using Kickstarter, but I think, like I say, we're just going to be moving forwards. We're going to be doing going to Kickstarter with things that are basically finished. The other thing is that we've been since we did this Kickstarter, we've been manufacturing for other companies. Okay. So, like, obviously, you said you had Mark on the show. I don't know if you mentioned, because we basically manufactured, like, Pocket Landship Kickstarter. We manufactured Pocket Landship and sent it out to him. I think it was like most of the Kickstarters that we manufacture for other people have got out of the doors on time. So, like, I'm in a different position now. When I did this game, it was me in my kitchen, and now I've got a company and staff, but I I've been kind of siphoning bits off and pulling people in it as much as I can do under current circumstances. But like moving forwards, we've got a factory and a full staff. So if we're going with a complete product and manufacturing capability, theoretically we can, like, as soon as a Kickstarter hits funding goal, we can just away we go, because that's what we've been doing for everybody else. But it's just been really frustrating not being able to do it for ourselves, because other stuff's been tied up, like other elements, like, oh yeah, we can get all the card stock and the boxes and whatnot, so we're just going to do that in house. But like the minis have been held up, or the discs have been held up, or
It's such a beautiful game, though, man. Like I love it. Like beautiful minis, just the mechanics are amazing. Just such a.
Thank you very much.
It is such a shame you've had so many problems with it and stuff, because you know.
I've still got a lot. Like when I come down and do shows like this, the response to it's always absolutely amazing, and everybody loves it. And we always sell out of everything that we bring down with us. So it's always like, yep, this is brilliant. And I think that long term, like I've got a lot of plans for doing things like tournaments, and I think that you'll get it here. A lot of people will walk past and assume. I think it's the fact that there's a hex on there. Nobody assumes that it's a dexterity game, because people assume that the hex is a movement. But yeah, I think it's one of those games where I think if people see it being played and see it being played competitively by people that actually like know what they're doing, it'll really get across what it is. And I think it'll be like the next time we come back with any Airflix stuff, it's going to be much bigger.
See, I think this would work really well competitively. Like I think this will do really well competitively.
I've designed something.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's I've called it the Dice Sports Mobile Arena.
Right.
And it's basically it's a camera rail with a camera above that sits above the cube that we run the game on, a big screen at the back, and like a little sponsor banner thing that goes around the outside, and then chairs go around the outside. So it's and then it's got all lights and stuff, so people can come out. And
amazing.
We've got an idea for having like championship belts. And so
man.
it's going to be
that sounds really good. Such a good idea.
That's something I'm planning to do this year. So just if we get to that far, then yeah, it's going to be that'll be tipping up at Expo next time we're here.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, looking forward to that. So before we go, is there anything? Obviously, this is nearly completed. Is Exodus completed now?
Yeah, it's just the last. It's the last stragglers. We had some stuff for France that went missing, and we had one pallet go missing when we were doing the original shipment that we've had to go back and do again. And then there's just some obscure ones that were just very, very expensive to ship. So
what's next? What's on the?
Well, this is the thing. I've been doing loads of stuff in the background while we've been waiting for other people to deliver things and whatnot. So we've done a solid. It's mostly solitaire. It's solitaire cooperative. World War II SAS game.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's like very much like the old Commando style. Yeah. So we've got that. We've got Starflix, which is sci-fi version of Airflix, which is it's interesting. It's got some big kind of gunship, capital shippy kind of things in it, and they don't flick. They move around on the hexes, so you've got like two different games going on, and you're flicking around.
Take my money.
Little stuff's flying around.
My money.
Yeah, and then I've decided I'm going to do the same with Flix, so we're going to put like a Lancaster in that moves by hex. So you've got like escort missions. So you've basically just got to get the Lancaster that's like a flying fortress from one side to the other, and you just.
Will that be compatible with this?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna have the ship, the Lancaster, and that's it. It's still going to be the Lancaster and the stand, and the rules set, and you can just play, and it's its own little squad mode.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, so I think that'd be really good fun to do.
Such a good idea.
We've got a game called Schism, which I'm publishing for a friend of mine, Chris. It's about angels and demons competing for the souls of mortals. Which I'm going to be. I've been keeping really tight-lipped on pretty much everything, just because I don't want to anger anybody that we've still got it is a small percentage. It's a small percentage of people now, but I've been keeping really kind of tight-lipped on everything. But we're kind of good to go with three projects pretty much immediately that are much further along than either of these were when they hit Kickstarter first time around. So
amazing, and I very much hope, man, that you don't have any of the issues next time. I appreciate you're going to probably have some, but I hope it goes well for you.
If it goes this badly again, I think that'll be it. that'll be it for me.
You deserve it, man. You deserve it.
I don't just mean games. I mean my time on this planet. We're done.
Oh God. But yeah, thank you very much.
Walk off into the sea like Reggie Perrin. We probably don't remember Reggie Perrin.
Oh God.
Reggie Perrin.
But I really appreciate your time, man, and explaining everything. It's been great.
Well, yeah, it's been an absolute grind of an experience. Yeah. But I'm still very happy to be part of the industry and dealing with the people that we're dealing with, and I say generally support's been absolutely amazing, and loads of people come up to us and tell us how much they love it, they've bought it, Kickstarter backs and things like that. So it's just, that all makes it worthwhile. So overall, c'est la vie.
C'est la vie, that's it, c'est la vie. And on that bombshell, we'll leave it. I've been Matt Gear for Geek Pride, UK Games Expo 2022, with Rob from Dice Sports. See you later. Hey everybody, Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UK GE. I'm here with James from Thunderbolt Games. And they're going to talk about their new game, Shadows in the Sun.
That's the one, yeah, Shadows in the Sun. So basically you're playing as one of the 4 factions on Kelressa, where the sun
What's Kelressa?
Kelressa is the planet name.
Okay.
It's an inhabited planet in a star system long, far away, in a galaxy somewhere ago. But your sun is being devoured and harvested by giant floating space beings. And each round, I can't show you right now because it's back there, but each round the piece of the sun gets eaten away, which basically ticks down to the end of the game. And before the sun is eaten away, you want to take your people out into the galaxy, explore, and find new colony planets to settle those troops on. And when I say settle those troops on, they're not going to be very settled, they're going to fight each other because it's a war. So you're going to take your troops to those planets, you're going to get them on those planets, and you're going to build work. You're going to take workers there also to build up the value, how valuable that planet is, and how much points it's worth at the end of the game, how much resource that planet generates, and then try and dominate it with your troops, which you'll be doing with ground combat. You're exploring the galaxy, collecting resources, completing missions to get new crew, upgrade your ship, and it's basically a little space adventure where you're going around trying to dominate those planets on the outer, I don't want to say rim, but outer parts of space.
Okay.
With the new sun that actually works.
Right, okay. Yeah. So this has been in development for 7 years?
So 7 years, yeah. I started in 2015. And that was, back then it was called Defection, which people may know.
We talked to you 4 years ago, was it?
Yes, we did, yeah. We went to Kickstarter in 2020 with Defection. It was during the pandemic and my marketing budget wasn't as where it should have been, but due to various reasons, job losses and things like that. But now we're rebuilding it. I took the time to sort of deconstruct the game, take a lot of feedback from everyone on that as well, and rebuild it into what the game is. I mean, it still has a lot of the flavour of what Defection was, and the mechanics and the characters and stuff are still in this game, but it's just sort of branched into this. I think it's gone in a very nice, very good route for the game. So it's quite different from the original Defection.
Okay.
But way more streamlined and structured.
More streamlined than Defection was?
Yes. So Defection was 5 years in development. It was pretty streamlined. But this one is taken where those mechanics got to, and then just put them into a slightly different place in the game.
Right.
And now it sits really well where it is now. So
when's it coming out?
So we're aiming for a Kickstarter on March 23, so 2023.
We've got some nice stretch goals. It's all about stretch goals.
We've got some nice stretch goals planned. We've got, the base model, the base game is going to have quite a lot of nice components in it, and we've got like a little moon model and like the ship models and stuff. And there's a little alien tentacled thing model, which is quite cool. So that's already in the base game, but we have a lot of stretch goals going forward from that as well to really deluxify the game experience.
Okay. And why should people buy this game over similar type games?
So it does something that maybe when you think of like these big sci-fi games like Twilight Imperium and Zia and various other games where you're sort of, especially Zia as well, with the pick-up deliver element that this game has, there's a lot of rules, a lot of big things that have to be known before you start the game. You know, the rule learning is quite steep for all those games. Also, the time it takes to play those games is very, very long.
Yeah.
This is a lot more condensed. There's still a lot you can do, but everything's sort of the way that the game runs is once you've done the first round, you're not going to be looking at the rule book again. So it's one of those. You might have a few nuance cases, but it's pretty much everything's done for you then. So you're ready to go, and you can do round and round and round the whole game. You're not going to be looking at the rule book unless you really have something happen that shouldn't happen. But so it's a lot more. It's a lot less rules heavy than a lot of games of a similar of a similar ilk.
What's the sort of kind of what are you looking for an average game? What are we looking at?
So it's a 2 to 4 player, and it's usually around 90 to 150 minutes. On your first game, you could add about 10-15% onto that because it's that learning curve at the start. But then, so 90 to 150 minutes for a big sci-fi adventure is quite a good little gem, I would say, in comparison to the big ones that we've just spoken about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So March 23rd, 2023.
Yep.
For the Kickstarter.
Yep.
And looking forward to it. It looks really good currently, and this is obviously the prototype for it. And stuff,
yeah. So this is like half the prototype here. The main prototype's on the table over there, so you can see it with all the models and all the final pieces on there. We've still got a bit of development to do on it for before. That's why it's in March, but it'll be fully developed and fully ready by March and ready to go.
When do you think you're going to have it all going well? When will people have it in their hands?
Oh, do you know what? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Well, we haven't.
Don't underestimate.
No, that's it.
I have had so many games, and they went, "Yeah, I'll be ready by Christmas," and then it doesn't.
One of the great things that I think, an advantage for me that I have is I've got a guy. I'm not going to mention any names, but is a mentor that is very experienced in delivering these Kickstarter campaigns, and he's been advising me since I started. We're very good friends. And he's done a great job of making sure that I do make the right steps to make sure that you deliver on time and have all that planning done beforehand. So, but we've still got a long time to get those manufacturing quotes and the fulfillment quotes in, and make sure that we've got the time to do that. So I don't know if it's March 2023. You're usually around this sort of 8 to 9 months kind of mark from that date, hasn't it? So that would be a safer bet, but I don't.
We'll see.
We'll see is the word.
Okay, so James, Thunderbolt Games, Shadows in the Sun 2023. Check it out. Hi everybody, Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UK Games Expo 2022, and I'm here with my good friend Bevan Clotworthy of Tinkerbot Games and of Geek Pride fame.
Done one or two, yeah.
You've done one or two things.
Yeah.
How's things doing?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, no, first show in 3 years, so I'm very excited to be back to see all the crowds and everybody and all the games and cool stuff. And good to see you as well.
Yeah,
Been a while, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was would have been 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
A little while, yeah. So I missed the last two, so it would have been 2019, no, 18.
Was it 2018 we saw him possibly? I think it's about 4 years ago. Potentially, I think it's about 4 years since the last we've seen you. Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's been.
And so you've got.
Yes.
Horticulture.
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 Horticulture, yeah. So we love a pun here. So,
so tell us about it.
So Horticulture is the spiritual successor to our original game Ghoster, which is about a haunted house. Exactly, there you go. So in this one, you're working in the garden. So you're going to be working into the gardens, actually fixing those up. But unfortunately, because ghosts can't use lawnmowers, you have to hire these monster cards to sort of do the jobs for you. So you've got things like werewolves, skeletons, zombies, that kind of thing. And they'll do the gardening for you.
And that's it?
There's more to it, yeah. No, so there's like a bidding system where essentially each of these particular monsters has a different score on it that governs how good at gardening it is. And you're going to be bidding on these sort of tiles that you plant into your garden. Depending on where you plant them, they'll score different amounts of points. So like gloomy blooms are these little blue flowers, they only score you 2 no matter where they go. But the pumpkins, they want to grow in patches, so they'll score you extra stuff there. The blood orange wants to be sort of surrounded by unique things, so it'll score more if it's got different things around it. And then you can also like hire and fire your monsters, so you can get rid of your basic zombie and get yourself a nice pumpkin zombie that likes to carve them up and stuff like that. Or you can get a werewolf, they're a good doggo, so they'll fetch stuff for you, or they'll dig up holes for you in your garden to get the gold out. Yeah, and then whoever's got the best looking garden wins.
So all very family friendly.
Very family friendly, yep. And we've even, since the original version, instigated a new system where like each of these has like 2 different ways to score. So now you can like double up basically the different ways of scoring, mix and match, gives you loads of variability on how the game is going to run. So
I was so impressed with the success of Gustel, and to have a second one, like, you know, it's an impressive feat, my friends.
It took a long time. It was a long time in the making, yeah. So.
And you spend a lot of time prototyping things?
Have in the last couple of years, yeah. I mean, we've moved to a lot of online stuff, so we're using Tabletop Simulator a lot to do a lot of the prototyping, and that helps with playtesting, because I can go to like America, China, all of Europe as well to get playtesters now.
What advice would you give people who have want to start their own game, create their own game, go into Kickstarter? What sort of advice would you have for them?
So if you're starting out, just get a prototype on the table and play it with your friends and your family, just to see if you've actually got a good game there. What you don't want to do is create this thing, go all the way down the route of like artwork and graphic design and all that, just to find out that your game is actually unplayable. So you want to make sure you do that. Once you've done that, stretch out into people who aren't your friends and family to make sure that people who've got no invested interest in you as a person or your game aren't just blowing smoke up your butt. And, yeah, exactly. And then Kickstarter, I'd get a partner. That's what I would do. Make sure I have a business partner in this. He deals with all the money, the finance, the organisation. I do all the creative stuff, like the artwork and the graphic design and that kind of thing. So I don't do the artwork. I just get somebody else to do it. But,
I do all the work by paying somebody to do all the work.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. The easy way to do it. So when are you going to do a war game?
A war game.
Would you ever do a war game?
It's funny you should say. I've been working on one for a little while where it's like BattleTech almost, where you've got like a map, some robots, and you have a deck of cards. It's a game called Evotech, where basically the robots are able to kind of modify themselves as they play. So like their gun will get bigger, but they'll sacrifice like generator room or something like that. And essentially you just play cards to play your movement and everything, and then pew 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 shoot each other.
That sounds awesome, man.
It's very early days, but yeah, no, it's something I'm tinkering with.
Tinkerbot Games, tinkering. Yeah.
Exactly, yep.
And it's going well then? The Expo's going well for you then?
So far, yeah. I mean, tables I think are doing really well. So we've got a partnership with with a company that produces tables. Okay. They're doing some fantastic work over there. I've demoed this to several people now this morning, which is fantastic. It's obviously with the COVID thing, there's always a concern, isn't there, of touching like stuff and being too close to people and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, really enjoying it. Really glad to be back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And what's next on the? Well, obviously, when does this Kickstarter come out?
So we're looking at autumn this year. So we're going to go for like the spooky season again. We're in the dreaded marketing phase where we're trying to sell it to as many people as possible. Do the Facebook thing. And then end of September, early October, try and launch then. So
brilliant. Okay. Yep. So October, ladies and gents, check it out.
Haunticulture, that's right,
Haunticulture. Coming your way this Halloween. I've been Matt Geary. This has been Bevan Clatworthy. Catch you later. Everybody, Matt Geary here for Geek Pride at UK GE 2022. And I'm here with Becky Ray.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yes. So, you've got a stall.
Yeah, first time ever vendoring at UK GE, and it's been really, really good.
So what is it? What wares are you selling?
What don't I sell? We've got handmade dice, gemstone dice trays, dice bags, Kindle sleeves, book sleeves, bats, which my lovely mother makes, scrunchies, dog bandanas, you name it, it's probably
and
here.
All handmade.
Yep. Apart from the gemstone and factory dice, they're the only things I don't make.
And so what brought you to doing this? I know you do D&D with
it started with wanting to play D&D and then becoming addicted to that, becoming addicted to dice, and then it involved making my own dice.
Dice are very addictive things, aren't they? It's weird.
We're all magpies. We're like, ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it grew from that, and then it just expanded and expanded.
And this is your first UK GE?
Yeah, and it's been so good. So tired, but so good.
And you've been very busy actually, even when we've been around and stuff. So it's been quite good.
Yeah, it's been so good, and everyone here has been so lovely as well.
And you've had your helper minions with you.
Yep, and my lovely helpers and my lovely mum here as well.
And so is this? Obviously, it's not just stall. You do online stuff as well.
Yeah, usually on Etsy. This is the first time I've ever done a TikTok at a convention. So
right, okay.
I'm feeling young.
My dog's TikTok famous, don't you know?
Your dog is so cute, though.
My dog has 146,000 followers. He makes me money. It's weird. He costs me a lot of money.
He's paying his own rent.
He costs me a lot of money, but he makes me money as well, so it's okay. You always get this. People just see and they just sort of kind of walk in front of the camera, just like, yeah, we're
10 minutes of fame, 10 seconds of fame
yeah,
going by.
Yeah. So you've done the TikTok thing. You've joined the kids.
Yeah, very first time doing it. God, did I feel old doing it? Being like, how do I do this? How do I do it?
You need to do a dance or something.
Oh God, no! I am terrible at dancing. Nobody wants.
I don't do any of that. I literally just point at my dog and kind of go,
do something cute. Do something cute.
We
need to start doing that for our dog because she does some cute stuff as well.
Well, that's it. I just found like literally, Ball's got 13.5 million views on one video of him coming in out of the snow, and that was it.
I mean, he's adorable.
Yeah, no,
so
that's it.
understandable.
But that's it. The dogs are the way forward, I think.
I mean, because we have dog bandanas as well.
Do you?
She's our model for them as well.
Ah,
so it works
brilliant.
perfectly.
Okay. I might have to purchase one else from a dog then, right? Brilliant. Sounds good. So, what else is going on? So you've got this and still doing the cosplay?
Not as much. This has mainly taken over my life because we're trying to do October London for the very first time this year.
MCM.
Yeah, fingers crossed we get a spot. So slight panicking, but also really excited about doing it.
Okay.
'Cause never done a London convention before, so
The big smoke.
it's going to be a lot.
I've not been to a convention in about 4 years. This is the first one I've been to, and I miss all the faces, I miss all the people and
Yeah.
stuff like that and stuff.
It's nice meeting new people as well.
Yes,
There's so many nice people who like
Yeah.
come up to the stall and being like, "We've seen you before," or they just like the products and they message me going like, "Loved your stand." I'm like,
They are beautiful. They're very beautiful.
many hours of sanding has gone into them.
And these are bespoke, handmade dice.
Yep, one of a kind.
Wow. Okay.
Each of them are unique.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Well, Becky, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's been
very
lovely
much.
seeing you
Good
again.
luck. You're here tomorrow, no doubt.
Yes. Final day.
And then we've got London in October.
Fingers crossed. If not, we're going to try and do Birmingham again.
Okay. Oh, you did Birmingham last time?
Yeah,
How
we
did
usually
that
do
go?
Birmingham, but this time trying to do London. Yeah, Birmingham last year was so good as well.
Yeah.
It was busy as well. It was busier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it was like
with
the first
COVID,
convention.
everything's been- yeah,
well, it's
yeah.
the first convention we had done since the lockdown. I was like, oh, maybe not many people. Loads. So many people.
Cool. Well, this will probably come out before tomorrow's over. So if you're at MCM in London, come and check her out. You've got an Etsy store,
Yep, which is Crafts and Wonders.
Crafts and Wonders,
Crafts and Wonders, yep.
right here. Check it out. I've been Matt Geary.
Steve McAray.